Got the beat.
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. 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 I never liked him. I never liked him. I never liked racism. I'm a never Trump guy. Xenophobia. I'm a never Trump guy. Racism. I'm a never Trump guy. Xenophobia. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. 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 I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never. 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 I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
Yo. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see you. Jen Winkler. Hello, hello, hello. So, in case my title is not confusing the heck out of you, what I would say is I am tempted to go in a myriad of directions right now. Rob's Media did release a Hasan Piker hit piece within the past 48 hours that looked well edited and good. So if we just wanted to watch the drama hotness of the past 48 hours, we could do that. If you guys wanted an Epstein update, we could take a look at the CoffeeZilla video, or we could just scroll on Twitter. One of the things that I want to amend about my Epstein coverage now that I think about it is that I do want to amend the statement that where I'm just taking DOJ stuff as fact. It's not because I don't think some of it is smoke, right? Smoke to a fire. Like the Jeffrey Epstein wrote, convicted pedophile predator Larry Nassar, gymnast guy, that life is unfair and that it's a shame that they are in prison while Donald Trump is president of the United States, but they share a passion for young nubile girls. This letter does seem to confirm suicide. So one of the things that people are bringing up in reference to this letter is that it was post-dated 3 days after Jeffrey was dead, and the handwriting doesn't match this, that, the other. Now, here's the thing about it. If we actually had somebody forensically verify or confirm a chain of custody that it was from Jeffrey Epstein, then I would accept it as fact. Because as an example, in the Marine Corps, while you're in boot camp, you might put the postage stamps on the letters, but basically, like, you hand your letters over to the Postal Service, and then the Postal Service, like, they review stuff. And I think we actually hand our letters open. And the drill instructors will read some of our letters before they'll send it home and all that kind of stuff. And I think prison does an even more strict version where I don't even think they get access to postage stamps. And then the guards will read some of the letters before they go out. So that's where, for me, I would need to get more evidence before saying, yes, this is completely debunked, or no, this is actually completely true. So I would take this as an allegation that needs confirmation. I don't trust the DOJ to just say, no, it's been debunked, because if it's been debunked, then why would you keep it in the records? And if you had to keep it in the records as a custody thing, why wouldn't you keep a summary of the note saying hey, we tracked down these leads. We spoke with the guards. We checked out the chain of custody. We checked out the mail, the mail, where the mail is posted. And as a result, we do not think this letter is credulous. How come there's no associated memo that was released with the letter along with the letter? That doesn't really make sense to me, but whatever. As recently as 2000, Donald Trump was partying with Jeffrey Epstein with prostitutes at Mar-a-Lago. Excuse me. I'm going to take that one as fact because I think it's just true. I don't think Donald Trump cut off his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein until 2004. And also, if he paid Stormy Daniels in the early 2000s to have sex with him, then I think that one's probably, I put that 90% true. Trump flew on the Lolita Express, including with Jeffrey Epstein as the only other registered passenger, in a time where the other people on the manifest were Ghislaine witnesses. That's just true. That's DOJ internal communications. An alleged Trump victim committed suicide in Oklahoma, needs verification. I already put needs verification there. All I'm trying to say is that in reference to this information, there's Pisco stuff? Cool. So hold on. So all I'm trying to say is that some of the stuff needs verification, and some of this stuff seems evidently true. Some of this stuff is DOJ internal communications. And that's where, we need to evaluate the evidence based off of strength and verification. Some things we can just take as allegations. Some things we can take as fact. And I think we need to be careful with what we take as fact and what we take as allegation, because we could obviously there's one of the more sensationalist stories where it's like, yeah, Donald Trump raped me and then forced me to have an abortion, and my uncle helped me murder my child and then threw him into a lake, and Donald Trump was there. And it's like, that sounds a little crazy. I don't know. Like that sounds like a little wild. So I don't know if that one's true. Probably need some verification on that one, right? Jen Winkler says, Merry Christmas Eve. Lol, true. Hi, Patriarch. Hello. Good to see you. Dank Brandon, I was just watching The Onion look back at Home Alone. Nice. Wowman542 says, good morning, Girl Hottest. Merry Kingsmas. Merry Kingsmas. Happy Sanguinalia. Happy Kwanzaa. 11 Natalie S says, I think that letter is questionable, and I just don't understand why Jeffrey Epstein wrote it. Well, I mean, I thought he was checking out and he wanted to throw an elbow before he went. 11 Natalie says, why would he? Last wishes as the last hurrah. I mean, that's what I would do, but if I was a part of a criminal conspiracy and I was on my way out and I knew that I had been shafted compared to somebody who wasn't shafted, maybe I would try to shaft them on the way out. I don't know. Drewby says Pisco should make a politics chart with his own metrics, and you guys should go over his this time. That was a great conversation. Well, thanks, Drewby. I appreciate that. Jen Winkler says Epstein was mad he got away with it and Trump didn't. We know that from his emails. He wrote that stuff. How true it is, we'll never know. I know Trump was inappropriate with teens at minimum. Yeah, sure. And he definitely knew. That's the other thing, too. Like, if you're partying with Jeffrey Epstein through 2004, and then you got all this amoebaphilic bullshit going on in the background, and then Jeffrey Epstein and Trump were separately and together running like modeling agencies and beauty pageants and this, that, the other, that's like pretty shady. Pretty shady. And also, I don't doubt that he knew. 11 Natalie says, I'm in Oklahoma. Wouldn't surprise me. Well, Horse Unite second, you're up early. Am I? I don't think so. I think I'm 5 minutes late. I'm surprised Christian Valeris isn't here to tell me to F off because I'm late. Let me take a sip of this. The wife's Erin, by the way. We ran out of coffee. And obviously, we don't drink Starbucks all the time because it's so expensive to drink Starbucks. But her errand was, she was like, I'm out of coffee. I'm not going to go buy coffee and make coffee. I'm going to get Starbucks. You want anything? And I was like, yes, please, God, get me a matcha. For those of you who haven't had matcha before, it's like the perfect burn. It's like right between tea and coffee, where coffee can sometimes, like, if it's too black, at least for me, I got heartburn. It can mess up my stomach. I get a little jittery. It can feel good. Like if you're waking up at 5 a.m. and you need a kick in the ass, coffee is awesome. But, it's not for me all the time. I don't like drinking it on the daily. And then tea is just like a little bit too weak. Like I take two black tea bags, and I put that in tea, and then I drink one of those, and then I typically refill it with hot water, and then I drink it again, and then I'm okay. But it feels like there's just something missing, right? Like if I wanted the perfect caffeine kick, there's just like a 5 to 10% that's missing. Whereas matcha just hits it just right. Horse United says, F it, it's Christmas Eve. True. Focus Lady says, Merry Christmas to everyone involved in this live stream. Thank you, Focus Lady. Appreciate you. Gary says, even in half the stuff is true, Trump should resign. Oh, yeah. But I mean, I have no beliefs that Trump has any shame whatsoever and therefore will resign. He'll just say it's all fake, and then he'll run out the clock. Ben Sunil says, is the Epstein BS done? I'm ready for some Hasan slop. All right. Somebody's ready for some drama slop. That's nice. 11 Natty says, close to Kiefer 2. Wish I could do my own investigation. Yeah. Sim Patriarch says, Merry Christmas Eve to all who celebrate. Happy early workday off for those who don't but got lucky. Yes. Not trying to be too rude or too mean. I know that on the holidays, there is an opportunity to make more money because you can hang out with people who are bored and don't want to hang out with their families, or their families are far away or whatever. And so there's this opportunity to do that. But I don't want to, and I do want to hang out with you guys, but I don't want to do that at the sacrifice of my own family. And we got stuff to do this afternoon. So I'll probably be leaving a little bit early, probably between noon and 1. We're probably only going to do one segment today. And then tomorrow I am gone. I'm gone. I'm going to be with the family. I'll probably be off my phone. I'll be paying attention to people. I'll be opening presents. I'll be eating delicious food. I do like being terminally online, but you know, I gotta disconnect every now and then. Tony says Christmas is a traumatic time for me as it was the day my dog ran away. I'm sorry, Tony. I hope you channel that into getting another dog and loving it till the end of time. Wow Man says, like the stream or your holiday dinner will be overcooked and ass. True. You got to like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. But it is a holiday, and I know you guys probably spent $1 billion on Christmas presents and or just surviving. So if you're a chipper or an oiler and you're either brokey or you're tapped out, don't worry about it. We're doing great. The channel's doing great. Everything's going great. And you guys were awesome yesterday. So today, I'm not too worried about it. Today, I just want to hang out and enjoy the vibes. But thank you, ET, for the 5. Happy holidays from South Orlando. Did you hear that some of the downloaded Epstein files can have the redactions removed by copy paste? Go Valor Media. True. So ET brings up an interesting point. Apparently, what some of the redaction files, because, and this could be a joke. I don't know if it's true or not. But one of the ways that, what is it? One of the ways that Elon Musk allegedly saved money was by canceling a bunch of memberships to subscriptions that nobody ever used. But some of those subscriptions were Adobe Professional. And so what happened is there's a redact button in Adobe, allegedly. Bear in mind, I don't mess with PDF that much. But in the PDF files, there's a redact button, which eliminates all the data and blacks it out. And some people were using the redact button, and it was blacking out all the information. Some people were using the black highlighter. So what was happening was they were taking a digital file that was scannable, that had access to the text. They covered it with a black highlighter. And then what ended up, so it looks redacted, but then what happened was people who downloaded the PDF from the government website, they were able to drag across the text, copy it, paste it in a Word document, and all the text is available. It's awesome. Horse United says Lex Luthor look doesn't suit you. You say that. I scare many people in public. F off because you're late, says Patriarch. Well, thank you. Gee, boss. I'll try not to take the Lord's name in vain on Christmas Day. Christian Valeris with the absolutely insane $300 super chat. On vacation with the family. Can't stay and chill. Have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, Connor and chat, except for Doobie and the gay loser anti-fans. Damn, Christian. Damn, Christian. Just throw coming in, throwing an elbow, and dipping out. Wow. Wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and a Merry Christmas to you and yours. Absolutely insane. Thank you, brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Vince Neal says the next most important thing, and again, dude, thank you. You guys, I'll go on a brief gratitude rant. We're only a community of 100 to 150 people. Realistically, I think the COG itself, like the truly dedicated people that will stick around out of a sense of sympathy when I'm doing a one-on-one that might not be the most interesting content in the world, that's 50 people. But out of those 50 people and out of those 150 people total, there are people who are insanely generous. And so Christian Valeris being one, Grassroots Hegemon being one, Entropy X being one, Patriarch is always throwing gifteds, Grassroots always throwing gifteds. We also got Crazy Chippers, Numinax, Fellrunner, Gen X, Dr. Zaius. I'm trying to think of who else, but there are a ton of people who just chip. Like Patriarch just gifted 10 Valor Media Network memberships. Thank you. Philip Coffey, yep, with the 5. Thank you to ET. You know, Philip Coffey with the 5 says, don't listen to the haters. Shave head plus beard equals Connor equals best. Connor, happy holidays. Thank you, King. Much appreciated. Patriarch with the insane 10 gifted Valor Media Network memberships. I couldn't do this without you guys. We could not be this small and sustain this channel the way that we do without your guys' viewership, of course. And thank you for the viewership. Like the stream, share it with your friends. Engage with chat. There's lots of cool, interesting, funny people in there. But I also couldn't do it without the Oilers and the Chippers. So thank you to the Oilers and the Chippers. I really do appreciate it. I know I have a dry voice sometimes, but I'm sincere. I'm sincere in what I'm saying. Sultan Al Fahim says, "Did you see the pictures of Michael Jackson with Epstein?" I did, but with the Michael Jackson pictures, right? Like Michael Jackson's an alleged pedo, but the Michael Jackson pictures were just him posing and hanging out with family members. Same thing with Mick Jagger. Same thing with the rock star and Richard Branson. Yeah, Mick Jagger, Richard Branson, and all those guys. They were at like dinner events hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein, and then I didn't see any pictures of them hanging out with young women. Now, of course, I'm gonna reserve judgment. If there's pictures in the future where it's them hanging out with very young women, I'm gonna be like, how old are those women? You know, are they 18 to 20? At which point this is immoral, or are they 14 to 18? At which point this is illegal and sex trafficking. And so we just haven't seen those pictures yet. So I'm gonna reserve judgment because here's the thing: if JF Gary Epi, the guy who allegedly murdered his wife, and he's like a race realist, and he's like, Connor, I'll pay you $500,000 to come have dinner with me, or I'll pay you $250,000 to come have dinner with me. Then I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna tell my family where I'm going. That way, if you murder me, I don't. Everybody knows who killed me, but I will happily accept your gift of $250,000, and then I'll go have dinner with a murderer. Now, on the other hand, if he's like, "Hey, let's go murder people together," then I'll be like, I'm busy that night, King. You have fun though. I do. Those people are bad people. I'm arguably a bad person for willing to allow tens of thousands of dollars to allow me to go have a conversational dinner with a terrible person. But is that as bad as committing the acts yourself? No. And so I'll reserve judgment on Mick Jagger, Richard Branson, Peter Thiel, Bill Gates. Although Bill Gates was pictured with women, but I don't know if those women were underage. Bill Gates. I'll reserve judgment on those people until we get more incriminating evidence against them that they actually either knew about the underage sex trafficking and the underage sex trafficking was still going on, or they participated in the underage sex trafficking. Of course, we should judge that more harshly. Wowman542 says, I prefer ginger tea more than matcha. I mean, ginger is cool. I don't know if you guys know this. I don't know if it comes across on the camera. So I have like brownish, blackish hair. That's all salt and pepper now. And then my beard is actually ginger. Like it is brown. But if you look at it, it's like copper red. But then because I'm getting old and I'm a stress monkey, my goatee is white. And so I have like a tricolor hair and beard. Jen Winkler says, I saw him with Clinton and Diana Ross, not Epstein, but I'm not surprised. Interesting. Sun Patriarch says, I'm only here for a little bit. Got to host all day today, and I'm ready. Well, listen, we're all in that vibe. I think we're all in the vibe of we want to chill and we want to hang out with our digital online community, but also we got stuff to do, right? Jen Winkler says, y'all, everyone, take my advice and watch Ryan Getty's last video about why Trump is naming everything after himself. It's amazing. Can you give us a TLDR? Because I don't know if I have the time for that. Horses United second says family is the thing that matters most. True. Lot Hart. Well, thank you. The PDF files. All right, hold on. Let me take a sip. I do love my caffeine. Oh, delicious. Jen Winkler, he's trying to fake a legacy. Yes. Jen Winkler says, laugh my ass off, Sun Patriarch. He's trying to fake a legacy like Lincoln Memorial, but he's doing it backwards, trying to be remembered as a great man because of the naming and usually the stuff. Yeah, that Jen Winkler, I'm with you. If Donald Trump wanted battleships named after him, if he wanted to be a part of the Kennedy Center, if he wanted to have a class of warship named after him, if he wanted to be on these different buildings, if he wanted this amazing library, if he wanted this, if he wanted that, then what he should have done is he should have actually governed competently. He should have instead of saying that he ushered in an economic prosperous golden era, he should have ushered in an economic golden prosperous era. Instead of punishing the poor, and the weak and the downtrodden. He should have elevated the poor and the weak and the downtrodden. That way he would be remembered as a great man. But he's actually just a giant, huge turd. And so I think he'll have a legacy. I think he'll have a massive, massive chapter written about him in the history books. I just think that 80% of it's going to be negative. Sacred Snow says, did you see Trump decide to bring back battleships just to put his name on a class of ship? I sure did. And what I am consistently seeing from the military guys, maybe the military guys are all haters, I don't know. But what I'm seeing from the military guys is that we don't run cannons. We don't run glass cannons anymore, which effectively, like a battleship, is kind of like a large glass cannon because it's one ship. So if you hit it with 1 billion missiles, like hypersonic missiles from China, what's the point of the battleship? And then also they're talking about how the battleship's role of a fire superiority vehicle is done better by either a bunch of ships, that way you spread out your risk across a bunch of ships, or by submarines. That was something that somebody pointed out. It's like, this is the new battleship. And they posted a picture of a submarine because effectively we've swapped out large cannons for missiles, and the size of the battleship used to be what intimidated people 100 years ago. But what intimidates people about submarines is you don't know where the hell they are. Because a submarine, if it's running quiet with a nuclear engine, or if it's a diesel, diesels have limited ranges, but diesel electrics can run silent on electric. Like, if you don't know where they are and they're off of your coast and they have the capacity to launch either conventional or nuclear ballistic missiles, that's terrifying, right? Like if you were actually wargaming this out, the only reason why I'm not scared of Chinese or Russian nuclear submarines being off of the coast of the United States and launching ballistic missiles into the United States is because I know that we have better ones that are off of their coast. You know what I'm saying? Whoever can do that the best actually has a terrifying advantage in warfare. Bud123 says, good morning, Christmas. I'm going to do leg day today in the gym since I did not go to the gym yesterday. God bless you, Bud123. Keep lifting. Old School says, I have expected Connor to have a Santa hat. I should have a Santa hat. Philip Coffee with the 5 saying that me looking like a Nazi Santa is based. Patriarch with the 10 gifted. Thank you again, King. Seriously, thank you, Christian Vlaris, for coming in, dropping 300 and dipping out. Thank you to Patriarch for gifting 10. Horses United says, you don't scare me with that hat. I'm Canadian who can snipe from 2.2 miles. Nice. What caliber are you using with 2.2 miles? You got a 338 Lapua at home? What are you doing? Sutton Patriarch says, good for Doobie. He deserves it. Poor guy hasn't been green this whole time. What? Horses United says, I will give you that family loves you heart. Well, thank you. Jonah says the MJ picks were for a fundraiser, apparently. Right. And somebody says MJ has too much aura to be canceled. I don't think that's how it works. I don't think if you have a bunch of aura and make music that's really, really, really good, then you can avoid cancellation for diddling kids. But, obviously Michael Jackson and what's that other guy's name? R. Kelly. They gave it a shot. We've already listened to Remix to Ignition like 2 or 3 times on this channel just to say, yes, R. Kelly is a terrible man who diddled kids, and he deserves to be in prison. But he also wrote and sang Remix to Ignition, which I will listen to without guilt until the day I die. Brutal. Old School for 10, thank you. Merry Christmas, Connor. Quick question. Should I spend this $2K I have laying around on an M1 carbine or a modern AR? The M1 is both beautiful and historical, but would it serve home defense needs? Are you talking about, Old School? Are you talking about the 30-06 M1 Garand, or are you talking about the 30 caliber carbine? Because if you're talking about the 30 caliber carbine, I think that would actually serve home defense needs, because the 30 caliber, I'm going to show you guys this real quick. We're just kind of vibing. We're just going to vibing in Christmas. We're vibing in the Christmas spirit. So I don't want you guys to be like, oh, let's get to the content, get to the content. Like, no, we're vibing. We're having a good day. Okay. So let's go to M1 carbine. Let me show you this. Let me share a picture with you guys. And by the way, this was like a wildly popular weapon in World War II, especially in the Pacific Theater, because what happened was that the M1 Garand was great, right? If they had bumped it up to magazines, because they had M1 Garands that were capable of being fed magazines, the M1 Garand would have been great. But the M1 carbine was comparatively light, and it had the magazine, and so it was reloadable. And then here's the cartridge. It's 30 caliber. It's a shitload of powder, but it's still kind of I think it's a smaller round compared to a 30-06. Like a 30-06 is going to penetrate the wall. It's going to hit your neighbor's dog. It's going to kill a bunch of people. Now, the 30 caliber carbine versus, and this is the M1 carbine versus the M1 Garand. This is the difference. I'm going to get it. If I ever make it, guys, I don't know if you guys are doing great. Thank you for the support. I'm not saying that you guys don't do great. I need to expand the community. We can't stay hard stuck at 100 to 150 people. But if I ever make it where not only do I not have any debt, but I also have expendable income, I'm going to get a Garand for sure. I have to have a Garand before I die. Anyways, but if you're talking about the carbine, yeah, I think the carbine's nasty. I love the carbine. But let's do M1 carbine 30 cal versus 30-06. This is M1 carbine versus 30-06. Yeah, you could defend your home easily with 30 caliber carbine. This would be great. This would be a great round, especially compared to a 30-06 versus a modernized AR. Everybody has an AR, dude. Everybody has an AR. Grab a 30 caliber. In my opinion, maybe I'm an asshole, but my opinion is grab the M1 carbine. The chances of somebody breaking into your house are very low. And if somebody does break into your house, wouldn't it be cooler to smoke them with an M1 carbine than it would be to smoke them with a AR-15? AR-15 is not even interesting anymore. It's not even cool anymore. Everyone has one. Everybody and their mom has one. Get the carbine. That's my advice. I could be wrong. Hosbar says, Merry Christmas Eve. Right back at you, Hosbar. Thanks for dropping by. 11 Natalie says, there's rumors Melania is moving out of Mar-a-Lago. Have you heard? She was with him at the Kennedy Center last night. Well, they've been on the rocks for a while, haven't they? Haven't there been plenty of pictures of them kind of like her drifting away whenever the cameras aren't rolling, or her staying in New York while he's in DC and all that kind of stuff? I think that she's unironically just staying married because he probably has it where if they divorce, she probably gets a large sizable chunk of cash. I'm sure Melania will be taken care of financially no matter what. However, if she rides that shit out and he dies, she probably gets a shitload more. And I got to say, she already made a deal with the devil 20 years ago that she'll put up with all of his bullshit and she'll just be rich and kept taken care of and can buy whatever she wants and she can take care of her kids and her grandkids and this, that, the other. I think that she'll probably stay in the game because she already knew what she was getting into 20 or 30 years ago. So Dank Brandon says, don't go into the woods with JF Gary Epi. True. Hosbar says, hope everybody's having a good day so far. True. First T News says, don't you consider exclusionary to say Merry Christmas instead of Happy Holidays? Pretty chuddy and problematic. Indeed. But I also say Merry Christmas. Okay, so that covers the Christians. I think I say Happy Holidays sometimes, which is weak, soy, lame, whatever, but, covers everyone. Then, of course, I say Happy Sanguinalia for the 40K people. And then I do say Merry Kingsmas for the Space King people, because I am a 40K and Space King person. Patriarch says, all right, people, I'm heading out. Might just listen. Well, thank you, Patriarch. Thank you for dropping by and oiling. I do appreciate it. 11 Natalie says, I see that ginger beard. Lol, my son one has one too. Based. Hasbar says, Connor and I have the same hair and beard. Basically, my beard started coming in reddish, but then white on the chin, and my wife shaves my head. Based. Bass Guitar says, it's like when Frank Reynolds went to the island. He was just there for the jet skiing. Yeah. Can I play that real quick? Because this is Donald Trump's defense right now. Oh my God. This is Donald Trump's defense right now. And I know all the MAGA people are like, well, he never went to the island. And it's like, dude, half of the rapes happened in South Florida and the other half of the rapes happened at the penthouse in New York. Donald Trump was boys with Jeffrey Epstein, and he has properties in New York and in South Florida. And also staff said that he hung out, like Jeffrey Epstein hung out at Donald Trump's properties, and Donald Trump hung out at Jeffrey Epstein's properties. So anyways, for those of you who haven't seen it, this is the comedy show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Frank is an unscrupulous, crappy capitalist, and then these are his spoiled, rotten, terrible children. So
You guys can help me.
let's watch this real quick, because I think it's pertinent to our current political moment.
with my thing. We got to shred a bunch of documents.
What? What are you talking about, man?
Well, the thing of it is, may or may not have been the official beverage supplier of Jeffrey Epstein.
What?
Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah, but before you judge me, know this. Yes, I was on the sex island, but only for the snorkeling. I didn't know anything about the kid stuff. No, look, 95% of what went on down there was not pedophilia.
Oh, yeah?
No, the other 5%, that sullied the whole operation.
Yeah, it sure
It
did,
sure
Frank.
did.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it ain't just me. Your guys' names are on those documents too, remember?
What? Still?
God damn it!
Son of a
Frank,
bitch.
No, I don't have time for this.
Well, come on and be quick. It's only a couple boxes.
Ah, shit. God damn it.
So if I had the skill, I would get an AI program, and I would replace Dennis's face with either Kash Patel or Dan Bongino. I would replace Dee Reynolds' face with what's her name? Pam Bondi. And then I would replace Frank Reynolds' face with Trump. But I don't know shit about AI. I don't know anything. I don't know what programs do what. I don't know how to do it, but that's a meme that could have existed for a long time. Oh, good Lord. Scrolling. I think we're just hanging out, guys. Maybe we'll do some content in a bit, but I'm kind of having a vibe. We're hanging out with 75 of our best friends and family. We're the Oilers are dropping in and throwing in oil. The Chippers are chipping in, and we're just kind of having a vibe. Jonah says, yeah, I'm about to head out to the family Christmas gathering myself. See, I know that some people don't have, family, or their family's far away, or they got bad relationships with their family. And trust me, I do want to hang out with you. Number one, so we can have a good time. Number two, so I can take your money. But, I gotta hang out with my family. I gotta show my family some TLC, some tender love and care. Bud123 says, 'tis the season of cleaning and bulking from gains in the gym. True. That's what I say. Whenever I eat Taco Bell, I say I'm dirty bulking. Ved Sunil says, low-key Kennedy was not a great president. Most of the stuff was done by LBJ. I'm not a historical contrarian. JFK could have done some cool stuff, like the Bay of Pigs, which he hated. Nightgale Wing says, con man is going to the con. Who would have guessed? True. Groovy Harp says, morning, my rats. Sabot Shalom. Happy holiday, everyone. You know what I got done doing yesterday? I got done editing Elysium. 45-minute counterpoint sci-fi breakdown on the movie Elysium, where, if you guys don't remember, Matt Damon uses a personal railgun. It's a railgun. It's called a chem rail. So what happens is it has a magazine, and they're flechette sabots. And so the magazine feeds it into a firing mechanism. A primer charge pushes the sabot into a rail, and then the rail flings the sabot out at like a bajillion miles per hour. And as a result of that, it just chews through walls and human flesh like it's nothing. And I do not have that many criticisms of Blomkamp. I actually love Neil Blomkamp, who's the director of District 9, Elysium, Halo Planetfall. I forget what it was, but it was the best Halo live action film ever. And I love Neil Blomkamp. I would trust Neil Blomkamp with my children. I think he is one of the best directors who's ever existed, ever, particularly for near future militarist sci-fi. He just has an eyeball for it. And my only criticism of Neil Blomkamp is he does such visceral, crazy, gory, violent action that he does not let the action breathe for a moment because he tries to keep it realistic, where it's like a bunch of crazy shit is happening on screen and then somebody just gets smoked, but you don't even have time to appreciate somebody getting smoked because the action is still moving, which feels pretty real, at least in my opinion. I think that's as realistic as you're going to get to real combat, because in real combat, you don't have the ability to appreciate the details until after the combat is over. Horses United second says U.S. is Navy retiring battleships. Well, right. Why would you put all your weapons onto a single vehicle? Horses United says destroyers, cruisers, and subs. Yes. Xena says Trump so desperate for a legacy he'll burn the country just to have his name on the ashes. Yes. Well said. Game of Thrones reference. Sultan Al Fahim says drones basically would destroy everything now that drone boats and drone planes are a thing. Right. So why are we taking billions of dollars of weapons and putting it on a single platform? That seems to be the opposite of what we should be doing. Drewby says wig plus Santa hat. If I had time, I would grab a wig and a Santa hat, but I don't have time. Grassroots says, licked and gay. It's all good. I hope you are doing great. I hope Hobbs is having a great day, King. Ved Sunil says, million more nuclear submarines, 3 times the X amount of nuclear submarines. I'm young. I can forego a public option healthcare for the next 2 decades, as long as we have submarines. All right, we don't have to go crazy with it. We're still spending $1 trillion a year on the military, dude. Unironically, I would probably reduce military spending to $800 billion, and then I would reduce the size of the military force, and I would have them cannibalize all of the old shit that we no longer use, and I would have them use it. And then I would still throw billions of dollars towards the military industrial complex to keep Raytheon and Lockheed happy so they wouldn't kill me. And then I would but I would still maintain the American world police presence. I would just do so in the most effective way possible. Sun Patriarch says, Doobie got gifted sub, lol. I was talking about that. Oh, got you. You weren't talking about the submarine. That's funny. Horses United says, the rifle was .308 Winchester, but in Canadian intelligence, what they provided. Oh, interesting. That's cool. Ten Hauser says, although I don't think you can shoot 2 miles with a .308 accurately. You could probably shoot 1,000 yards, but I don't think you can do 2 miles. Ten Hauser says, Merry Xmas. Next year, going to dress up as a sergeant version of Gunny Claus. Based. Wowman says, I'd sooner defend Michael Jackson than R. Kelly, though. Michael Jackson has more classics. Oh, yeah. Michael Jackson was a insane talent. The question was just whether or not he was abused as a child, and then therefore he took his abuse out on other kids. Sacred Snow says, from what I understand as a layman, tech just outpaced battleships. They used to be tanky when it was ships versus ships with cannons, but now we can precision strike ships from a distance. They're irrelevant. It's like the A-10 Warthog. Sure, against terrorists, it's probably fine, but in a peer-to-peer combat scenario, you're effed. Yes. Yes, that's my understanding as well. And by the way, we probably still need a close air support vehicle like the A-10 Warthog or like the AH-64 Apache, but we have to have air dominance in order for those platforms to be relevant, and the enemy cannot have a complex logistics chain filled with smart anti-air rockets, because if they did, then our close air support gets stomped out. Drewby says, personally love the Heritage Rough Rider for a cheap 22 plinker. Lol, home defense, I recommend a cannon. Yes, yes. If you guys haven't seen the tri-corner hat meme where the guy's like, I got muskets because that's what the founding fathers intended. But then he talks about how he there's some scallywags who break into his house. So he uses a black powder cannon to fire grape shot down his hallway and basically pulps a bunch of people. And then he fires his black powder musket, but he misses because it's a smooth bore and it hits the neighbor's dog and he kills the neighbor's dog. So then he charges them with a triangle bayonet because it's more difficult to stitch up. And then he starts stabbing an armed burglar. It's a pretty funny green text, because it does. AR-15s are horrifying, right? Because they're an intermediate cartridge. There's 30 bullets in a standard size magazine. You can fire 28 times without having to reload. When you reload, it's very quick. Each bullet by itself is potentially lethal, but cumulatively, they're super lethal. And so an AR-15 is terrifying. You know what's also terrifying? Getting hit with a golf ball going 1,000 feet per second. That's also terrifying. Do you know what's terrifying? Getting hit with grape shot, which is effectively a black powder cannon version of buckshot. That's also terrifying. So, I mean, if the libs want to do gun control to the point that we have to return to black powder, that's fine. But prepare for like armed home burglaries. To the cleanup on home invasions is going to be insane. I'll put it that way. Skillful Dunce for 20 says, thanks for being you. Merry Christmas from a liberal bisexual degenerate with conservative principles that wishes he was an NPC. Thank you, Skillful Dunce. And I do like your PFP, by the way. You got the air mask. I have a similar air mask for when I don't wear it when I'm painting, I'll be real. I do wear it when I'm melting 3D print parts together and I'm using chemicals for 3D prints. So I hope you have a fun job or fun hobby, which is why you have that mask. I appreciate the vibes, and I appreciate the $20 super chat. Thank you, King. Sacred Snow says, my theory is Baron Trump was playing World of Warships and Trump walked by as he fired a salvo from the Montana, and that shit gets me erect. Of course. Of course. Horses United says, surprised you knew that? Don't be surprised. I know a lot of things. Why do men like us know weapons? It's my version of autism, right? So there's car guys, okay? Car guys know cars. They can tell you all the makes and models. They can tell you who manufactures stuff. They can tell you what parts do what. They can tell you how to take it apart. They can tell you how to put it together, et cetera, et cetera. I can do that with guns. Other people, some guys like planes, some guys like trains, some people like automobiles, planes, trains, and automobiles. It's a comedy movie from the 80s. But planes, trains, and automobiles are some people's autistic fascination. Weapons are mine. Grassroots says, I have a Ruger Mini 14 to explicitly not have an AR. Lol. You're not in Cali, are you? No, you're in Pittsburgh. In Pennsylvania, can't you have anything you want? Or did Pennsylvania get cucked out because it's in the Northeast? Vet Sunil says, Connor, I have a job making roughly $60K before taxes. I'm thinking of enlisting as an airman. I don't know if it's the right decision. I do want to get back to this country, but I'm apprehensive. Well, Vet Sunil, do you have a 4-year degree? Because if you have a 4-year degree, you don't need to enlist. You could commission as an officer. So, you don't need to take a pay cut. I'm pretty sure, like, if you enlist, you'll make $40K a year. If you commission, you'll make like 60 or 70. So you could commission. Jen Wink says, Amazon has paid Melania to be at the White House. That's what her movie in all is, bribing her to stay with Trump. Unsurprising. Vince Neal says, additionally, I get better jobs if I'm a citizen. I get to apply in a few months as an airman. Yeah, dude, do it. Do it. Vedsunil, you'll never, how do I phrase this? I can't turn my neck, all right? Watch this. I'm going to try to turn left right now. That's what I got. I'm going to try to turn right now. That's what I got. The reason why I can't turn my neck left or right is because somebody did a neck crank to me in the Marine Corps where they grabbed my jaw and they grabbed the back of my head and they twisted my body in order to do a martial arts move to me. And then also I got slammed in the ground, punched in the chest, punched in the face, all that stuff. Like I got my ass kicked in the Marine Corps. In the Air Force, they're not going to do that to you. And I know plenty of airmen who still have full mobility and they're not physically jacked up. Also, because the Air Force is filled with a bunch of non-combat jobs and the airmen are more away from the combat just through the nature of their vocation, they're fine. Like, you might get some PTSD. Maybe you'll blow up a few, jihadist terrorists. I don't know. I don't know what job you're going after. But the point is that, you'll probably be fine. And you could get your citizenship. And you could get an education. And you could commission instead of enlisting. Or if you just want an adventure, go enlist. Go enlist. It's awesome. It's fun. You will certainly not regret enlisting in the Air Force. Michelle says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, Michelle. Thank you for dropping by and saying hello. Bud123 says, according to online weight gain calculators, 4,000 plus calories a day. As someone who weighs 150 pounds to gain 5 pounds in 6 months, I'm around 3,000 calories and uncomfortably forcing myself to eat more. Bud123, I will tell you briefly what I did. When I was 19 and I was 170 pounds, but I was 6'4", which is underweight like a motherfucker, not only did I eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and not only at lunch and dinner did I eat one meal, which was effectively a slow cooked meal, and not only did I eat a fast food meal on top of my slow cooked meal, I also drank a protein shake a 25-gram protein shake, chocolate protein shake, on the hour every hour throughout the day. And by doing that at 19, I did go from 175, somewhere in there, to 200. Like, it took me forever to get to 200. I think it took me a full 7 months of eating that way to get to 200 pounds. Now, as a 38-year-old, I can look at a Taco Bell meal and hit 240. So enjoy your metabolism while you have it, because as you get older, it typically slows down. Grasher says, my favorite home defense gun is my SP5, and the only one I worry about is that I enjoy it so much I accidentally spend $500 on ammo every time I shoot it. An SP5 is an MP5 clone, and it is beautiful. 'Tis beautiful. Xena says Trump was only on the island for the snorkeling. Exactly. Wow, man says it'd be funnier if you remade it where Frank and Trump were talking to Bill and Hillary Clinton. I'm gonna scroll real quick to the bottom. I'm gonna ask you guys, because we had 75 people and then we lost like 8 people. I'm assuming people are going to hang out with family, but I've been yapping for 45 minutes. Do you guys want to move into the content? It's kind of up to you. Like I like having a chill time. I like just hanging out with the cog. I like just vibing. There's no problems here. I have no problems if we keep it between 50 and 70 people and we just vibe. But if you guys want to do some content because you don't just want to hear me yapping with the cog for the next like 5 hours, then we could move into content. I don't care. Valor Media Network. Let me pull up current chat on YouTube. I actually like the zoomed out camera. I'm not going to lie. It feels more personal. I don't know how about you guys feel about the camera. I feel like when you're zoomed into my face, it's like it's intimate where we're having a conversation. But I feel like when it's zoomed out, number one, I feel like it's less pressure because, we're not in each other's faces. But number two, you can see, I'm using the chat, so I don't know which one's which, but you can see my chainsword, you can see my Halo Magnum, you can see my bolter, you can see my models, you can see some pictures of my family, you can see books, you can see my artwork, you can see my silver play button. So I kind of like this camera angle. How do you guys feel about it? I don't know how you guys feel about it. So let me pop this out, move it over here. All our Oilers already made it a successful day. I could have somebody show up and be like, 50 viewers, who cares? And I'd be like, yeah, my Oilers already gave me a shitload of cash. I don't give a fuck. So let me take a look at this. Focus Lady says, I appreciate your accurate commentary and sense of humor. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year for $20. Thank you, Focus Lady. Thank you for your financial support, and thank you for your viewership. Michelle says gaining weight is so hard. Not anymore for me. I could just stare at fast food. Sacred Snow says, same bro. The metabolism slowdown is no joke. I could eat literally anything, and now I have a food scale if I even think about dieting. Yep. Connor, chill day. Good either way. I'm having a good time hanging out, but I'm down for whatever. The art of the yap. Yapping is cool. You yapping is like rapping. Tell us more about the Elysium breakdown. Wowman542 says, loading. Looks like you guys just want to chill. Ideal camera fan is swinging from a ceiling fan. That's funny. Horse United says, you're still a cop at heart. I am a cop at heart. Okay. I mean, I guess we'll just chill then. I don't care. We'll just chill. No problems. Politics JK for the 10. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas back to you. Happy Sanguinalia and happy Sanguinalia. Merry Kingsmas. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy holidays. And let me get back here. I'll do chronological chat because I want to make sure that I'm just like vibing, but I'll also have live chat over here so it's easier to do. It's easier for me to keep up with you guys too. Fast and Bulba says, bro, I'm getting Epstein hard by this Cali rain. How do you effers deal with this rain? I missed the drought. I didn't know it rained in California. I lived in Southern California for 4 years, and I think it rained once. Jonah says, I'm going to dip out, going to head to the family gathering. Happy Christmas and happy holidays, everyone. Happy holidays right back at you. Jonah, Merry Christmas. Happy Sanguinalia. Merry Kingsmas. Horses United says, my mom loves me, but we were just too different. The daughter was perfect. I wonder at times if I can love and create a family. The mom loves, but we were just too different. My daughter was perfect. I wonder at my about. It's tough, man. So I'm not sure if I'm reading your comment correctly. Are Dan and I doing a Christmas special by reacting to Die Hard on Valerie Reacts? Sacred Snow? No, Dan's gone with his family, so no Valerie Reacts this week. But I'll tell you, I got a stereotypical family. I am married to my wife. My wife and I have been loyal to each other. We got 2 kids. We got 2 dogs. We got a 1,500 square foot house on a quarter acre. We have a property. Our mortgage is paid almost on time. Our bills are paid almost on time. And it's hard. I'll tell you, it's hard. Balancing being a friend and a lover and a husband and a father and a provider and a like you're filling like 10 roles at the same time. And so even though this is like the boring normie life, it's hard to be boring and normie. You have to be intentional about it. It's tough. Jeb Kush says, I finished my part of the audit for Walk just in time for the holidays. Somebody did ask me about the Elysium breakdown. Let me go ahead and just hit that real quick for the sci-fi nerds. So for the Elysium breakdown, I love Elysium. Okay, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's a Matt Damon sci-fi flick. It's set in the early future where there's a space station off of Earth where they have med bays, where the med bays can heal everything, but you have to be a citizen of Elysium in order to get access to the med bays. So effectively, there's a small population that's on a beautiful orbital space station, and they're effectively immortal because they have such advanced medical technology. And then the rest of the humans are on a environmentally collapsed Earth where they're kind of fighting for jobs. It's like the dystopian, shitty prediction of what life would be if we suffered stagflation, economic collapse, automation, all that stuff. Every dystopian sci-fi trope that could happen to humanity has happened to humanity on Earth. And so what's happening is a gangster suffers. He's a former gangster. He's on parole. He used to like boost cars and get into fights and stuff. But he gets in a work-related accident. He gets exposed to a lethal dose of radiation. And so over the next 5 days, he's going to die. And so he hooks up with a gangster crew in order to jack an Elysian citizen's information. They find out information that's more hardcore than they ever thought was going to happen. And then it's like a running gun battle with exosuits in order for that guy to try to save his own life, but also maybe shift the political order of the setting. And so it's got Matt Damon. It's got the Israeli girl from Predators. It's got the guy that Neil Blomkamp likes to work with, who's an excellent bad guy. It's got exoskeletons. It's got rail guns. It's got, close quarters fighting. It has a katana. It has a vertical takeoff and landing drop ship. It has grenades and machine guns and airburst AK-47s and chainsaw M249s. It's just a damn good time. So if you're into sci-fi and if you're into action, then I strongly, strongly, strongly recommend Elysium. The themes are a little bit heavy-handed. The action is incredible. Sacred Snow is true. Not only that, but just living with anyone for an extended period of time can be difficult depending on personalities. Absolutely. And, the problem with having 15 years of history, I've been with my wife for 15 years, almost. The problem is like you remember each other's sins for 15 years. And so you could do something bad 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever. And it seems like it's difficult to let go. Now, I'm a fish. I have the memory of a goldfish. So for me, like shit is like water off of a duck's ass. But, obviously cumulatively, you can build up scars from a long relationship. Sacred Snow says District 9 and Elysium are so good. True. Neil Blomkamp's amazing. Groovy Harp says battleships are coming back because nothing says hell yeah like a 16-inch shell throwing up a geyser of water besides a missile ship that launches 50 Type 89 Feisheng anti-ship missiles right back. It is silly. The battleship is silly. But if they make it like a missile battleship, like maybe they could salvage the concept. But once again, putting billions upon billions upon billions of dollars of weapons on a single vessel when you could distribute all of those weapons platforms amongst a bunch of smaller platforms, including submarines, including cruisers, including destroyers, including Corvettes. It just seems silly. Anonymous chatted for 10. Happy birthmas, Jesus, Grilshala, Coggers, Trump gave Bill a blowy. True. It's been confirmed. I'm fucking with y'all. It hasn't been confirmed. But I do hope that it's true that Donald Trump was like drunk one night. Did y'all see the stand-up comedy bit? There's a stand-up comedy bit that's on like TikTok right now where it's like, I bet you can't suck a dick. And then Donald Trump's like, I can suck the best dicks. I'm the best dick sucker. I'll make you forget about Monica. And Bill Clinton's like, I bet you won't suck a dick. And so basically, like, it's a comedy skit from a stand-up comedian, but the joke is that Donald Trump has such a huge ego that he cannot forego allowing Bill Clinton to goad him that he's not good at oral. And so therefore he tricks Donald Trump into giving him oral, which would be hilarious. Real Serious, our Argentinian friend, says, Merry Crimbus Connor, get yourself something nice on me. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for the 100 ARS. I do appreciate it. Wow, man, says, I think you mean Bubba. Don't dead name Clinton like that. It's true. Don't you love that Clinton? Like when all the compromising photos came out of him hanging out with Ghislaine and Jeffrey and swimming with like chicks who had their faces blacked out and being in a hot tub with a girl with her face blacked out. Don't you love that Clinton was like, release it all, man. Release it all, man. I'll kill us both. I thought that was, Bill Clinton might be a bad guy who participated in ephebophilic sex trafficking. But I have to applaud his cojones that he was like, I'll kill us all. It's kind of crazy. Focus Lady says, is the nuclear-powered school still in the Disney World location? That's actually a cool idea. Should be, if it isn't. Horses United says, F it, it's Christmas Eve, now 7:22. True. Bud123 says, AR-15s are great for self-defense. What is terrifying? Going to Connor's home and he has loaded cannons and muskets waiting for me. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Fell Runner, Destiny Fuentes video, but it's actually Donald Trump and Donald Trump and Bubba. Bro, that's another horrific AI video. If I had endless time and opportunity, let's say that I was making the same amount of money as Destiny was, I would commission somebody. Yeah. Zenith, Bill Clinton. I hate you, ninja. Let's die. Yeah, that's what happened. If I had Destiny's money, I would have settled with Pixie, right? I just would have given her $200,000 and said, hey, listen, sorry about leaking your nude videos. My apologies. Here's $200K. Now fuck off. You know how I would spend the rest of the money? I would commission somebody in my community to take the Destiny video where Destiny is hooking up with a young man who is not well endowed. And I would have them AI Donald Trump's face onto Destiny's face. That's why we need to get 1,000 viewers, bro. That's why we need to get 1,000 viewers. So that's why we need to make 6 or 7 figures. So I can do obnoxious AI videos making fun of people. Barabas Dantiak with the 5 says, nobody blows Bubba quite like Donald Trump. Nobody. Donald Trump gives the best blowies like you've never seen. Listen, I'm sorry. This is a family show, so I'm sorry for being so vulgar, but I'll go ahead and love and like your comment because it is funny. Oh, it's just obvious says, I like planes, trains, and guns, all the autism. True. Vet Sunil says, my form of autism is being an extremely R-slurred anti-comedy capitalist defender. Hey, I mean, that's based. I think you, Vet Sunil, just being honest with you, I think you spurg out on Doobie too hard. Doobie's an easy guy to hate, but I think he actually gets under your skin too much. But you're a base guy. You're a base guy. You're a base guy. Real Serious says, oh, I thought that was just good posture. Oh. Horses United says, still like the Winchester rifle. I had 3 with action repeating 1 magazine for firing accurately. The clips are not great. Took me a long time. I didn't realize us Marines had an Air Force. I watched Independence Day how many times? I don't know if I read that correctly, but I do love lever action weapons. Drewby says, don't eat 4,000 calories for too long. Ask me why I need to lose 100 pounds. Yep. Can I say, Drewby, I had this guy. His name was John something. I sometimes I can remember his whole name, but he was a man who worked with me at an AT&T store. Young man. He was in his early 20s when we knew each other. I was in my early 20s. He was in his early 20s. So this is almost like 10 years ago now. But John Geiger. And John Geiger was probably 300 pounds, and he was maybe 5'8", 5'10". He was built like a volleyball. Now, he lost like 70 pounds. And the way that he lost 70 pounds, because he was drinking 2-liter sodas like it was nothing. Like every day, he was just drinking a 2-liter. And so he had like an extra 2,000, 3,000 calories of soda alone in his diet. So what he did is he cut out the soda. He started drinking, I think, lemonade and water, but it was like diet lemonade or something. He found something that was like sweet or sour that hit his palate right, but it didn't have anywhere near the amount of calories. And then he just started walking around his neighborhood every single night. He went for like 2 to 3 laps around the block, and he lived in a small neighborhood. And then as a result of that, between walking 3 laps a night and cutting soda out of his diet, he lost 75 pounds. I was actually genuinely impressed with his weight loss. Focus Lady, I'm going to read this again because I do appreciate the sentiment. $20. I appreciate your accurate commentary and sense of humor. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you for the $20, Queen. I do appreciate it. And then Sacred Snow says, same bro, the metabolism slowdown is no joke. I could eat literally anything now and I would have a food scale if I ever thought about dieting. Sure. Vince Neal says, I'm fine with no content. I'm kind of tapping out on chat, not because I don't parasocially love you guys, but because I want to yeah, Philip Coffey says, Connor, when I was in high school, just switching to diet sodas helped me lose 25 pounds. That's what I'm saying. Like, simple shit can change your shit. So consider it. Politics JK says, Merry Christmas, loading some brisket and beef ribs on the smoker. Ooh, you super chatted and you're loading beef into the smoker? You are based. You are one of the best girl hottests. Zena says, speaking of camera zoom, I hate Prime Kai's camera setup. It is like the classic laptop zoomed in thing. Hood Monkey says, just a giant nergasm up and down them shells. I love it. Me too. Real Serious says the camera angle is good, but maybe the humidifier should be removed. The stuff on the side too. Yeah. I could like zoom it in a little bit. I can move it up. It's not a humidifier. It's just it's not a box fan. It's a vertical fan, but I know what you're saying. I got too much trash in the background. Horses United says, Destiny seems to like you. Yeah, depending on the day. Destiny and I'm trying to be Destiny's friend. And I think that Destiny and I are friends, but he keeps doing, well, I shouldn't use the present tense. I should use the past tense. At least as recently as February, he did something that I think is personally objectionable and stupid. And I've pressed him on it. And I said, hey, like, you keep doing personal things that are stupid, that punish you, and you don't seem to be learning your lesson. And then he kind of like memes about it, but you know, it's like we were talking about yesterday, man. Like, and I'm just trying to be as honest as I can be without like outing all his bullshit. But it's like, dude, it's pretty clear that if you have casual relationships and you engage with people casually, there are people who you will not get to know well enough, psychologically, mentally, spiritually, sexually, whatever. And if you have a casual relationship and then it blows up, and you get punished for it, then when are you going to learn your lesson? Because that's what happened with arguably half a dozen to a dozen women that we know about. There's probably another dozen women or another 2 dozen women who hooked up with Steven and then they got bad feelings about it afterwards and they would blow up his shit, but it's not worth the drama. So they just don't, right? And so I'm not saying you can't be serial monogamous or even like ethical non-monogamous. Do whatever, like we're only here for one life. I'm living the life that I'm living the best life that I can. And I'm trying to tell people what I think is the best life so they live their best lives. And so we're ultimately just hairless apes arguing about what we think is best for the world. But when it comes to Steven, I think that if you constantly get punished for a bad behavior by life and you don't learn your lesson, then at some point that's incumbent upon you. And that does affect your friends. It does affect your family. It affects your reputation. It affects the way that you interact with the world. And so when are you going to learn your lesson? And he just kind of laughs it off. So that's where, for me, I want it noted insofar as there is a public record. I want it to be noted that I have talked to Steven about this privately. I've talked about it to him in direct messages. I've talked to him about it on stream. And so if he implodes his shit again, then I did what I was supposed to do, right? I did what I was supposed to do. So hold on. I'm actually going to react to the live chat just because I'm kind of curious what you guys think about that, what I just said. Jeb Kush says, yeah, I moved to the city and began walking over a mile to work and lost 60 pounds in a year. Exactly. I talked to Pixie's dad in Puerto Rico. Okay, cool. Is he a cool guy? He seems like a cool guy. Sloth Possum says, I quit a heavy use of nicotine habit a year ago and went from waist 32 to 38. Lol, I got to change my eating habits. Absolutely. Dude, just cut out the soda, find a replacement. I still drink soda. I love soda. But you know, try to cut out as much of the soda as possible, start walking, start doing a simple workout routine, et cetera, et cetera. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised by the results. Fell Runner says he's tapping out. We're winning. True. Philip Coffee says that and just taking my dog out every day does help. Old School says you need an actual suit of armor in the background. Think samurai. I have cosplay Imperial Guard armor. It's angled sideways so I can walk back there more easily. I could angle it and make it look better. Xena says you could have a bit more contrast right around your head, but overall it's a good camera setup. Yeah, it's also too white. I'm washed out because the lights are white and I can't dim it. And then what's behind me is white. So particularly when I don't have any tan in my body, I'm getting washed out light-wise, but it's all good. Drew B says, Connor, it's actually a fun to play Warhammer tabletop, or is it Is it a collector thing? Collector thing. I completed my Space Marine Death Watch collection. There are few Space Marine models that come out and I'm like, damn, I need that in order to add it to my collection. I have every Space Marine model that I want that doesn't cost like $10,000. I started an Imperial Guard army, but I'm not going to lie. I kind of lost the passion for painting. I just did. I hate to say it, but it's true. And I do love my models. I do love the Imperial Guard models that I have done. And I have Imperial Guard models over here that I want to do. But how do I phrase this? I have to focus on what makes money. Okay. You know, we're doing great. You know, we have a dozen super chats. All I've done is yap and hang out on an off day. We had Oilers oil and Chippers chips. So we're doing great. But each model, if I want to paint it to the standard that I want to paint it to, each model takes 3 hours. So I can't spend 3 hours on anything at this point in my life unless it's making money, which is sad, but I'm hoping eventually by focusing on the things that make money, I'll eventually have enough money to take care of the things that require time. The God of Crack says, I'm off early, so I get to participate in chat a little. Cool. Well, welcome to the chat, God of Crack. Politics JK for 10 says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas right back at you. Sacred Snow says, you and Dan doing a Christmas special by reacting to Die Hard on Valor Reacts. I would, but number one, it takes us weeks or months to get through movies. Number two, Dan's gone for the holidays. Void says, I'm 5'11", 125 pounds, and 34 years old, and people have been telling me my whole life that I'll start putting on weight around 30. It has yet to be seen. Are you a girl or a boy? Because if you're a girl, congratulations. You're probably slim and pretty and model thin and this, that, the other, and everybody probably compliments you on what's going on. If you're a boy, then we need to work on that. We need to... as a matter of fact, you know, DM me, Void Neil, if you're a boy, and we'll get you some like weight gainer shakes. We'll put you on a diet plan. We'll get you a weightlifting routine because 125 at 5'11 is too thin for a boy. Hood Monkey says, Cotter, being an anti-robotic by forgetting to acknowledge Robonica. Oh, I did forget the toaster holiday. My apologies. Happy Robonica to the toasters. Sacred Snow says, true. Not only that, but just living with anyone for an extended period of time can be difficult depending on the personalities. Right. And we love each other. Like don't get it twisted. My wife and I love each other, but yeah, 15 years is a long time. But 123 says, when is the US going to make a robot battle droid army? We need clankers. When we start space mining, dude, we need lithium, we need steel, we need iron, we probably need some depleted uranium. We need all sorts of stuff. Matter of fact, let me Google that real quick. What kind of elements are in the asteroid belt for mining? So it looks like iron, nickel, and cobalt are some of the most of what's out there. And there are precious metals like gold, platinum, rhodium, palladium, iridium, and osmium, which are crucial for technology. So yeah, like I was hoping that they would say lithium. They didn't say lithium. And I don't know what lithium is a compound of, so I couldn't speak to it. The point is that there's a lot of valuable shit out there. There's a lot of valuable shit. So we need to keep enough asteroids out there that they continue to serve as a screen for flying objects that might hit Earth, but we need to mine enough asteroids that we are able to capitalize on the things that are out there. Wowman says Elysium is class conflict sci-fi done right without being preachy. I thought it was kind of preachy, but you know, I'm a capitalist, so it is what it is. Hood Monkey says reminded me of Chappie District 19, then Elysium is the correct universe. Yeah, I don't know about chronology, but yes, those are all the same creator. And Chappie, weirdly enough, is about like a robot that gains like semi-sentience and a personality and hangs out with gangsters. And then it started out as a police robot, but now it likes criminals, and then a lab scientist who likes that this robot is a nice guy with a cool personality tries to save the robot, and then he gets killed, so they digitize his consciousness into a robot. It's a weird movie that unfortunately they didn't focus on the action. I wish they had focused on the action, but the action sequences are good. Like the original SWAT clearing scene where police robots are leading a clearing with South African SWAT officers who have Galils, which is like the Israeli assault rifle. That shit was dope. Rest of it was kind of corny to me, but that opening scene was dope. Felrunner says Carta Copley or something like that. True. Felrunner says laugh my ass off. Sacred 100. Horses United says I still like to make sure that girl went to the best schools in later college. Are you talking about your daughter? Who are you talking about? Hood Monkey says if you're gonna say it right. It's Matt Damon. Hood Monkey. It took me a second to understand what reference you were making, but yes, from Team America World Police. Matt Damon. True. Grassroots. That is true. And I tell people to move in together family early because there's nothing like loving someone for 8 years, mobbing in with them and going, oh, I hate this person. Huh. Gabriel Bilstein says we need cruisers and frigates. Right. And cruisers, by the way, cruisers are no slouches. Battleships are in a class. Sorry, I need a sip of my caffeine. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is that it's like cutters, corvettes, frigates, destroyers, cruisers, and then carriers, and then battleships. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. They're either a little bit smaller than cruisers or they're a little bit bigger than cruisers, but they were dedicated weapons platforms. And so the reason why they not dominated, but the reason why they were so feared in World War II was because if you had a gun battle between capital ships in the ocean, a battleship was just a dedicated weapons platform. And so if a battleship is looking at you, it's about to launch a shitload of ordnance in your direction. It was also feared, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, as a amphibious assault preparation vehicle, where since it's effectively a giant boat with a bunch of artillery pieces on it, before the troops land, it just throws artillery at the landing zone. And that was the role of the battleships, is number one, to be a capital ship that destroys other capital ships through fire superiority, but then it's also something that is supposed to prep an amphibious assault. And so I think it's like the second largest naval platform, at least through naval history. But then cruisers fulfill the same role. But I think cruisers are multi-role. So they're almost as big as battleships, but they also are like troop carriers. And they also can be like different kinds of platforms. Like cruisers are actually great. And then frigates, I think frigates are just smaller cruisers. They're still weapons platforms, but they're just smaller. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. That's my understanding of like naval ship terminology. Beef Supreme says the concept is not salvageable. Well, listen, if you had, excuse me, if you had a battleship that had the best radar, the best LiDAR, the best CIWS system, CIWS, the close-in weapon system, where it has like a dozen Gatling guns that are all able to take out incoming rockets and missiles. Let's say that it had an advanced laser system where it could take out easily drone swarms and take out weapons. If you were able to deny incoming fire effectively to the point that you had a unsinkable or almost unsinkable weapons platform bristling with missiles and cannons and railguns and lasers and smart weapons, you could do it. But if you cannot make the battleship defensive zone impenetrable, then it's a waste of time and energy. You're just making a glass cannon. You're making something that the enemy should smash. Bud123 says the sin is that you make your wife feel like the things she mentions are brought up, hence a relational reference. Interesting. David Merrill says, looks like the 10 or so Epstein co-conspirators were properly redacted. Guess the inept cabinet members did right for the billionaires. So far, Congress might hold them responsible. Thomas Dudley says, to be honest, the battleship is more like a cruiser in terms of how they're designed and their requirements. True. Bud123 says, which may be why she brings it up. Keep Your Bilstein says the Arleigh Burke is going to be adapted for space use. Base, dude, why aren't we going to space, man? Why aren't we going to space? Why isn't Boston Dynamics creating robotic crew for us to go establish mining colonies on Mars? And then why aren't we using Starship to push asteroids to Mars that we can then rip apart for trillions of dollars of minerals? And then why can't we use the iron and nickel and all of that crap that we like, trillions of dollars of these materials, move it to Mars for processing, and then have a robotic slave race process all that stuff and safely bring the raw materials home? That way we could build an army of slave robots and we could get that post-scarcity techno-futurist society. That's what I would want to do, man. That's what if I was Elon Musk, that's what I would do. Because the reason, sorry, correct, I'm having a little bit of a sci-fi autistic moment. The reason why nobody wants to go to Mars or nobody cares to go to Mars is because they don't see the ROI. They don't see the return on investment. What's the point of putting 20 people on Mars who are probably going to die on Mars, who are not going to be able to sustain life, and they're just going to sit there, and then they're going to die on a desert planet with no atmosphere, high radiation, and all that bullshit? Nobody sees the ROI. What's the return on investment? Why would I, as a human being, unless I have like a uniquely, settler, colonial, adventurous spirit, which is admirable, but why would I go die on Mars? What's the return on investment? How is humanity improved by colonizing and living in space bubbles in Mars? You have to have a return on investment. And so if you're going to have a return on investment, I would say make Mars a reliable way station for Earth where, yeah, maybe some humans could go live there in order to oversee like the robots, but then go have the robots go mine the shit out of the belt. Dude, trillions of dollars of raw materials available in the belt. Horse says, as Connor says, unless World War III, we don't need hulking mammoths. Agreed. Grassroots says, I'll confirm it. Why not? I was the cameraman, whatever. Oh, you were Epstein's cameraman? That's why you weren't in any of the pictures? It is wild that rich and powerful people allowed themselves to be photographed that often with Jeffrey Epstein, where they're like, oh, we're hanging out with the ephebophile sex trafficking rapist. They're like, oh, We're hanging out with Ghislaine Maxwell, the madam who is pimping out a bunch of 14-year-old girls. It's like, wow. Where was your sense of reputational self-preservation? I don't have a reputation to preserve, dude. I'm what? I'm hanging out with 75 of my best friends and family, but I got 100 to 150 person live stream. If somebody gives me $250,000 in order to hang out with a phebophile, I could think of how many dogs I could save at the local rescue with $250,000. I could spend $100,000 on myself, get the best setup, update my office, buy a bunch of guns, do all this crazy shit. I could do so much crazy shit with like $100,000. And if I had $150,000 lying over, you know how many dogs I could pay the adoption fees for at the local rescue? I'll go hang out with an ephebophile, sex trafficking rapist for $250,000, and then I'll spend the money on something good. Grimsley says, I love that Bill came out with a statement that ultimately amounted to do it. Yeah. Bill Clinton, I hate you, ninja. I'll kill us both. Let's go. I know. That was funny. That was amazing. That was the best response possible. The best response possible from Bill Clinton was like, yeah, I might have been hanging out with underage prostitutes, but I'm going to kill us all. Let's go. Yeah, exactly. That's the quote I was trying to think of. Zeta said it. I hate you, Nibba. Let's die. That's exactly. Yep. Drewby says we need 100,000 missile dinghies instead. Exactly. You need like cutters. Horses United says Destiny and Pixie were at odds, of course. Barabas Dantioch for 5 says nobody blows Bubba quite like Donald. Donald Trump gives the best blowies like you've never seen, truly. Yes. Death Lily says 6-7. 8-9. Grasser says Destiny just sent me that video this morning, actually. Unsurprised. Pixie wouldn't have accepted 200K. Yeah, she would have. I hate to say it, Horses United, but yeah, she would have. Jen Winkler, Destiny needs more practice. Seemed like he thought it was a good idea in his mind, but when it went to his mouth, he was considering laugh my ass off, and it wasn't Nick, unfortunately. Oh, you were talking explicitly about that video. Yeah, that video is going to be scarred into my brain for the rest of my life. Sloth Possum says, happy Christmas, people. Happy Christmas right back at you. Politics JK says, since we're chilling, I'm working on starting an after-school program for young men. I'd love to get some thoughts on you sometime. Politics JK, I would love to help out with that. So one of the things that I want to do, all right, because we've established the channel, relatively speaking, okay? We got 50 hardcore coggers. We got 100 to 150 live viewers. I need to get that up to 500 to 1,000. That way my Oilers don't have to carry me in perpetuity. I love my Oilers, by the way. We punch way above our weight class. Thank you to our chippers and our Oilers. However, we're not at the extraneous income level yet. And I think that comes from VODs, and I think that comes from having a larger community. So I need to hit that. But once I hit that, what I want to make different about this community is we have talented people, apparently like Politics JK. We have hardcore people like Grassroots, who loves dogs. We have cool people like Weld QC John, who already teaches a program for welders. We have a lot of really smart people in our community. And so how do we leverage our talents in order to address some of the things that we complain about? How do we make sure that young men aren't being left behind? How do we make them more pro-social? How do we teach people about weapons in a way that liberals and progressives feel more comfortable about civilian firearms ownership? How do we, I keep bringing up dogs, but it's just because Grassroots has a dog who has cancer that he's taking care of. And I know that feeling, and that feeling sucks. But also, like, if I had $1 bajillion, one of the things I would do would be an animal rescue for sure. So, yeah, we need to figure out how to leverage our talents. Philip Coffey says, and I'm happy to do that. So DM me on Discord. Don't forget international operatives, Connor. Yeah, we need our international assassins. Philip Coffey says, when I was in high school, just switching to diet sodas helped me lose 25 pounds. I remember that one. Jeb Cush says, yeah, I moved to the city and began walking over a mile to work and lost 60 pounds in a year. Walking is powerful, man. The one thing that we're designed as a species to do is walking. Sudden Impulse says, there's no feeling more comfortable about it when you barely survive 2 school mass shootings by the time you're 25. Those civilians didn't do shit in either instance. Yeah, sure. So you're probably being critical of my desire to train the civilian population in firearms. But if you're not banning firearms, the next best option is having civilians who understand weapons. Yeah. Excuse me. All right, we're still talking about weight loss. No offense, guys, but I'm going to scroll past the weight loss stuff. I already talked about the Warhammer stuff. Jeb Kush says, I was sick with the flu and have a lingering cough and I can't jog, but now I just walk and listen to stuff. Dude, walking is going to be better for you anyways because running is going to hurt your joints. So, I mean, running is great. If you can run, run. If you're built to run, run. But walk if you don't like running. Horses United says her dad didn't think she should be online or nothing will come of it now that Pixie is hurt. Destiny did wrong. I don't know if you're drunk, but yeah, like I think that generally speaking, a lot of people accuse me of Destiny sweeping, but I always post this like 20-minute video of me covering like the Pixie drama where I feel like I just cover it accurately, where I'm like, here's what Steven did. Here's why it's wrong. This is what I think is wrong. This is what I think Steven should do. This is where the victims are. This. And I always ask them, I'm like, hey, 20-minute, it's a 20-minute video. You're going to watch a 3-hour drama video about how Steven sucks. Watch 15 minutes about me describing the situation and tell me what I got wrong. Nobody has come back to me. Once I link that video, nobody has come back and said, I think you're wrong on this, this, and this. Nobody's come back to me and said, here's where you swept. Nobody's done that. They won't engage with what I actually say because it's easier to just be like, oh, you're a sweeper. Avi says, I feel like if you jump into bed with Destiny, you should know what you're in for by now. You should, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that he should be engaged in bad behavior. Input, output, carbonated flavor water replaces soda for me. It can. It's not sugary enough for me, but I get what you're saying. Nightgale Wing says, I mean, this Pixie court case stuff is costing probably $300,000 plus Destiny's 90% chance he hasn't learned his lesson. If anything happens after this, there's no helping Destiny. I mean, that's how I feel. Like I said, I'm just trying to be a friend. I'm just trying to help out. I know people made like a huge deal of like, well, you openly said that the reason why you're friends with Destiny is because he can help you with your political projects in the future. So you're a Machiavellian clout brain freak. Like that's kind of one of the criticisms that I've gotten. But I hope that the COG and I hope that people in general kind of realize that like, if I just wanted to sycophantically orbit and suck clout out of Steven's online presence, then I could be way more aggressive about it. Whereas I'm kind of playing the long game. I'm just trying to be a decent friend and let the chips fall where they may. So I know most people probably aren't going to recognize that, but whatever. I was a human being before I was an online streamer, so I'm not really built for the... I'm slightly built for the clout games because I can see them, but I'm not built for the clout games where I'm like, let me backstab all my friends for a scrap of clout. You know, that's not really my vibe. That's not my vibe. Yeah, the long game, aka just being friends. I know. It's silly. Bud123 says, switching to diet soda would help people lose weight as they are consuming less calories. You know what stinks, though? I don't think there's a good Nightgale Wing. Connor the Machiavellian streamer with 100 viewers. Nobody will see it coming. Oh, my God. August Puig says you're built for the clout game, but you reject them. I mean, I try to reject them. But Bud123 says switching to diet soda would help people. You know, the problem with diet soda, I haven't found a good diet soda that doesn't have caffeine. Like, I know there's caffeine-free Coke, but I used to drink that when I was a kid, and so I feel like that's Coke. And if I'm going to drink a caffeinated diet drink, it's going to be Diet Coke, right? Diet Coke, oh man, sometimes when you need those chemicals, when you need those poison chemicals, whoo, that stuff hits. That's like having if you're a tobacco addict, that's like having a cigarette. It is great. But when you want something that like fixes your sweet tooth, but isn't filled with like a billion sugar calories, there's not really a good option in my opinion. Sugar-free Barks? Okay. Maybe I'll try that. Drewby says Connor needs a little bisexual lighting. Dude, there was a time where bisexual lighting was a thing, and then it just kind of fell off, and nobody brought it back. Felrunner says Destiny is not going to really listen to you, and if you want to be his friend, you'll just have to accept his bullshit and forget it like anyone else does with anyone. He likes you because you're cool. Nah, So, Fell Runner, no offense. I think that if you're a friend to someone and you do not tell them where they're fucking up, I don't think you're a good friend. And so I don't have like a firm time limit or line for Steven. I really don't. And if we ever cross the line, I'll let you guys know. But what I would say is, I think that if your friend's fucking up and you don't tell them, I don't think you're being a good friend. So I'm not just going to accept his flaws and encourage him in his flaws through apathy. I'm going to continually say, like, hey, man, I think you're fucking up. So, Batu Sai says, wish me luck on my Christmas shopping. I wish you luck, King. Barabas Dantiox says, how much paint thinner can a man survive? A lot, from personal experience. A lot, King. David Merrill says, bad knees and bad back make you gain weight really fast. Just join the army. Metal, yellow, red first. David Merrill, real quick, okay? So my hip and my lower back was so bad that when I went to my community college one time, I had to stop. I'd smoked pot, I'll be real. But part of the reason why I don't smoke pot anymore is because it makes me incredibly body conscious, and I can feel every fucked up nerve and every tense muscle in my body when I smoke weed. And it's almost impossible for me to relax. And so I used to be a pothead. I loved marijuana, but I can't really do it anymore. And when I was in college, which was a long time ago now, like 2012, 2011, somewhere in there, I hit a J. I was walking to class and my lower back was so fucked up, I had to stop and like keel over next to a car, and campus security thought I was trying to break into the car. So I actually went to class and I was sitting there just suffering. I was in so much pain, dude. I was falling apart. I could feel every raw nerve in my back. I could feel every raw nerve in my neck, every raw nerve in my hip. And I was on the verge of screaming. And then campus security showed up and they called me out into the hallway. And I was like, that's weird. Like, why are they calling me out? And so I have a conversation with them and they're like, hey, were you breaking into cars? And I was like, no, I didn't break into any cars. You can search my bag. I didn't steal anything from anyone. I didn't open any vehicles. I know it might have looked weird from like a security camera perspective. However, I have a bad back and I basically threw it out and I can't stand up right now. You search my bag. There's nothing in there except for like books and shit. And I need to sit down. And so the campus security guard was like fat. And he was like, bro, I know your pain. He's like watching me like a 6'4", 200-pound guy, like take a knee because I'm so physically fucked up. And he's like, yeah, I've been there. So anyways, I know that your legs and back are fucked up. I know that walking probably hurts, but I'm telling you that what I did after that moment, because I realized how fucked up I was. Number one, I stopped smoking as much pot. Number two, I just started going on walks. And so I lived on the east side of Orlando. My property backed up to my dad's property. Let's be real. My dad's property backed up to a federal wildlife reserve. And so I would just grab my dog and I would drink a beer or two and I would just walk. And it was painful and it was horrible. And when I threw out my back, when I threw out my hips, when I threw out my legs, when something was painful, I just laid down. And I just laid down and I stared up into the sky and I was like, God, why are you punishing me for existing? This is terrible. And then when my back and neck and shit settled, I got up and I kept walking. And I'll tell you, over time, walking, that story had nothing to do with weed. I'm telling you, weed makes me super body conscious. But anyways, the point is that like the more you walk, the better it'll be. Because walking resets your body to the way that it needs to be. And I know that you can feel the soft tissue pinching inside your body. You still need to do it. Dank Jesus for 5 says, Merry Christmas, man. Now you have a baker's dozen. Thank you, King. Yeah, we're up to 15 super chats, and some of them were oils. I'm gonna shout out the chatters real quick. Thank you to Barabas Dantioch for the multiple super chats, 3 in total. Thank you to Dank Jesus. Thank you to Politics JK, Focus Lady, Real Serious, Anonymous Chatter, Skillful Dunce, Old School, Solid as Snake, Patriarch with the 10 gifted, which is an insane amount of money right before Christmas. Thank you, King. Philip Coffey with the 5, Christian Valeris with the insane $300 oil. I don't know what job he got, but he got a crazy job. And then ET for 5. Thank you, Kings and Queens. Couldn't do this without you guys. I really couldn't. We have a very small community, but our community oils. Whenever I can I share a point of pride? It's not me, it's you guys. Like you guys are the guys that make this work. Can I share a point of pride though? I see drama YouTubers. I see food shops at 150 reliably. Obviously, she's just talking about Dan and just talking about Destiny, and that's an easy way to get up to 150. So, you know, I try not to hate too much, but I hate a little bit because, you know, obviously 150 is like reliably 150 is that's a good number. And then also like Queeman reliably gets up to 300 to 500, but he's the most hateful motherfucker on the internet, dude. He like straight up, like the only thing that you know that's going to happen in a Queeman stream is like, he's going to find somebody to hate and he's going to talk smack about him, which is fine. It's fun. It's entertaining. I watch it, but also like, it's going to be some of the most spiteful shit you've ever heard in your life. One of the things though, that I console myself with, and you could call it cope if you want, is that I see them get like, you know, $5, $10, $20 once every 20 minutes, once every 30 minutes, something like that. And we do like a similar pace, but we just got Oilers who just go, what? You know, they just like drop cash like it's crazy. And so even if we're a smaller community, your guys' support means the world to me because quality over quantity. I would rather not freak out about the vain metrics, the metrics of higher viewership, if it does not translate into revenue. I would rather keep a happy, tight-knit, oiling and chipping, engaged, relatively positive. We still hate on motherfuckers all the time, but we're still trying to make the world a better place. Relatively positive community. I would rather maintain that than chase numbers. So thank you is what I'm saying. Death Lily says, get a resin 3D printer and print the Catgirl Battle Sister models. Absolutely the fuck not, Death Lily. Absolutely not. And I do have a resin printer. I just haven't used it yet because I'm scared. I am the hose, and the resin printer scares me. Nightgale Wing, also not to mention the opportunity cost of this year. He was interviewing candidates for the DNC. All of that went away. If all of this doesn't get him to learn his lesson, he's going to goon it away. You said it. I said it. Lots of people have said it. We're just trying to help the motherfucker out. Philip Coffey for 5 says, want to throw one more to add to Connor's point. I have effed up hips. Just doing yoga and walking most days has taken away almost all the pain. And by the way, guys, I hate to say this. We're all getting older. We're all getting older. It doesn't get better with time. You got to work on it. You got to work on it. David Merrill says, my local VA has a gym, so I'm trying to get back in shape, but my truck driving hours at night plus pickups to the kids in the afternoon leaves me about 4 hours of sleep. Thankfully, my wife is amazing. David Merrill, do you have a sleeper? Do you have a sleeper truck? Can I show you guys something real quick? Can in the Christmas spirit, can I try to give David Merrill a small gift? So I work out sometimes on stream. You guys see me work out on streams. I'll try to be as brief as I can while working out on stream. Or I'm not going to work out. I'm just going to show you what I got. I have 2 25-pound dumbbells. I also have a couple of 10s and 20s, but realistically, you just need weights that you can consistently lift off of a variety of motion. And so what I do is one day I do chest and tris, one day I do back and buys, one day I do shoulders and forearms, and one day I do legs. And I'll do it sometimes on stream, but these are all workouts that you can do seated in a chair. Arguably, if you take breaks while you're at work, you could open up your cab door and do these workouts. And so I just need to make a video, man. I just need to make a video. But basically, I do a full body weightlifting workout. And I also have a monkey's foot. Okay. So this is basically a skate boot that wraps around the dumbbell. And then you use these straps to strap it onto your foot. So you can do leg extensions, leg curls, and then you can just stand up and do calf raises. The reason why I bring this up, and I'm sorry for being long-winded about this, is because if I have to get home, if I have to shower, get a gym bag, go to the gym, work out, get home again, shower again, and then do something, that's 90 minutes. I don't have 90 minutes to dedicate to fitness. I just don't. What I do have, though, is 30 minutes while I'm at work or 30 minutes immediately after work. And so by making it simple dumbbell exercises, I can, relatively speaking, keep a routine. And if I miss a workout, let's say I try to work out 2 to 3 times a week. If I miss a workout, then I just do not move on from that workout until I do that workout. So what was I thinking? So for instance, like legs, I have a difficulty motivating myself for legs. I do not lift chest and tries and back and buys because I enjoy chest and tries and back and buys. I do not lift that until I've done legs. And so I have this anxiety in the back of my head of like, I'm getting small. My arm gains are leaving. Well, I got to do legs. And that just like sticks with me for like 3 or 4 days. And then finally on the 3rd or 4th day, I'm like, do legs, you pussy. You've been too much of a pussy for 4 days. Shut the fuck up and just do legs. And then boom, I do legs. Anyways, no sleeper truck. I work locally in LA. Well, I would still, David Merrill, number one, obviously we've been talking about walking a lot this stream. I would still recommend just getting a 20-pound or 15-pound. Start wherever you need to start. If you need to start at 5 pounds, start at 5 pounds. If you need to start at 10 pounds, start at 10 pounds. If you realistically start at 15 or 20 though. Start where you need to start. Get a pair of dumbbells. I'll try to share the workout routine sometime soon. And maybe I'll do YouTube shorts. I'll do like dad bod workout shorts where I'll just show the exercise routine. And then that's just my recommendation. That's just my recommendation. Sorry for taking so long to talk about fitness shit. My bad. But, you know, I want my middle-aged, I want my 25-year-old to 50-year-old viewers to get into a decent weightlifting routine and start walking. That's what I want, because I want us to age gracefully. Grassroots says Connor just has to deal coke for 3 hours to paint a model to make it economically exactly. If I deal a kilogram of cocaine, then I can spend 3 hours painting models. Blade says, can you please refute this idiot Connor Tomlinson and his R-slurred nation of a heritage American? Yeah. If there's a Connor out there spreading bad information, I think that is a moral duty that we must combat a bad Connor. If there's a bad Connor out there, then I need to be the good Connor. So I wrote down Connor Tomlinson. Just remind me to cover it. I'm not going to cover it today, but I'll cover it in general for sure. Void Neil says, I'm a dude and I'm a carpenter. Laugh my ass off. Damn, bro. You're 5'11" and 125. You got to post pics in Discord, bro. Like, no, you don't have to post your face or whatever, but show us your arms, man. Because if you're like a wiry carpenter, if you work with like your hands all day, so you got like kick-ass arms, but you're still skinny as shit, I would be curious to see that. No homo. Zena says, I wouldn't mind a bit of React content to riff off of. Well, sorry. I regained my energy, so I'm not as slow as I was a moment ago. Barabas Dantiox says, regarding battleships, I'm not entirely opposed to making new battleships. They just have to work. If it were up to me, I'd rename the Texas class. True. Everything's bigger in Texas. Grassroots says, hey, happy early birthday to you, Dank Jesus. True. Horses United says, I use plain wood, though, and a planer day in and day out. All right, yeah, post pics. We need to get you on 6,000 calories a day, but that's okay. Maybe you're already fed. I don't know. Don't let me talk too much shit. Horses United says, I made the best wood this side of the West Coast. Nice. Old School says lithium is an element. Sure, but I'm trying to say I don't know how much lithium is out there in the asteroid belt, and we need a shitload of lithium for batteries. Let me just see if there's lithium out there in the asteroid. Is there lithium in the asteroid belt? Yes, lithium exists in the asteroid belt, notably with Ceres, but it generally is less concentrated in asteroids than on Earth. However, the belt still holds potential for future resource gathering, especially water, ice, with specific asteroid types like C-type, carbonaceous, chondrites, offering some promising elements like lithium. Okay. I just know we need lithium for batteries. We might be able to move to graphite batteries eventually, but I don't think the tech is there yet. Beef Supreme says, Bro Chappie is the greatest movie ever. This is Daddy's car. You're a bad person. You stole this car from Daddy. Yeah, that's the scene that I didn't like that much, but maybe I need to reread it. Fellow Runner says, District 9 and Chappie were extremely pivotal for cinematography and camera work in modern CG tech. Science begets science. True. Grassroots says, Connor misreads all my chat until I typo, and then he reads them perfectly. Well, that's my job. Bigger than cruisers. Yeah, battleships are bigger than cruisers, and I think carriers are bigger than cruisers. True. 2. Keep your Bill Stein says anti-aircraft cruisers like the Atlanta class were incredible platforms based. Barabas Antioch says also I'd rename them to the Texas class because the USS Texas. I think that's fitting based. Bud123 and also they would make you feel more hungry for solid foods. Battleships. Horses United says weird relationships in my farm, renting my workshop, but I also work there woodworking based. Dog. Did you see dog? There's sleeping dog over here. I have to clean up my room. That way you guys can actually see it. Horse God says, Connor, in the past you said you were in logistics and some people attacking your service because you weren't kicking down doors, but 4 U.S. presidents work in logistics, including USS Grant. Yeah. Connor for president. Can I describe my race realism real quick? My racism? Because Doobie's been running around saying that I'm a white nationalist now. And I'm not really a white nationalist. Can I draw? I want to draw my racism for you. Can I draw my racism for you? Add this to screen. Let me draw my racism for you, okay? Paint. So, let's do this. I'm going to draw my racism. So right now, we are at 66% white. And no offense to the Hispanics, but I'm going to paint the Hispanics as brown. I know that's not always true. I know not every Hispanic is brown, but I'm going to draw them as brown. Let's do some fill. Not the outline. Let's do the fill. Why is it black? Yeah, I want to do, there we go. Okay. So let's say 24% of the population is Hispanic. All right. 66% is white. 13% is black. I'm going to make the black black. Sorry to my black people. I know that you're not actually black like this, but that's okay. We're just doing a little bit of a racist drawing, guys. Don't freak out. Don't freak out, okay? Don't freak out. I'm also going to make my Asians yellow. I think Asians being yellow are around what? There we go. Asians being yellow, I think they're around like 5% of the population. So I'll just make them around there. And then I know that Muslims are technically Asian. So let's pick a cool color for Muslims. Let's do like red, I guess. Let's do the outline black. Let's do the interior red. Barabas Antioch for 5 says, Connor, no, you're making yourself vulnerable to an October surprise. Connor, that's okay. It's fine. We can be a little racist, all right? So 2% of the population are Muslim. And then 1% of the population, what is it? It's like 7 million people. Maybe it's like 2% are Jewish. Let's do the color of Israel. Let's do the color of Israel's flag for the Jews. Not that they're all like Israel simps, but let's just do that, okay? 2% Muslim and 2% black, okay? So the argument here, Indians are Asians when it's convenient, true. So the point is here that this is the current demographics of the United States. Around 60% of the population is white. And by white, I mean Northern European. 1 to 2% is Jewish. 2% is Muslim. 5% is Asian. I know the Muslims might be a part of the Asian contingent, but who gives a shit? 13% is Black, and 24% is Hispanic. And there's this anxiety amongst Christian nationalist race realists and whites, race realist whites, that these demographics are going to be detrimental to the United States because the Hispanics are going to come in. They're going to want to like take siestas, and they're simultaneously going to steal all the jobs while using all of the welfare. And they're going to, somehow, even though they're more Christian than Northern Europeans because they're Catholics, they're going to somehow destroy the United States of America through mass immigration. Right? And what Doobie wants, which I think is funny, which I need to expand this, excuse me, I need to expand this drawing a little bit for Doobie. Have you guys seen the South Park episode where people from the future come in? So let me label these real quick. This is current. And let me put Doobie. And let me look up the South Park Future People episode. I don't need the whole episode. I just need a picture. Where are we? Get rid of paint. Open up a new thing. Anonymous Chatter for 10 says, my problem with racial purity testing is you can always tighten the restrictions. It's a never-ending cycle of exclusions. We should just not start down that path. Sure, but we also need to be realistic about what's happening in demography. So this is what Doobie wants. Future People, South Park. So future people are a hairless, light-skinned, but brown. They call them dewbacks, goobacks. Okay, back in the day, South Park called them goobacks because whenever they emerged from the future time machine, they were covered in a time traveling gooey substance. And so this is what Doobie wants. Okay, he wants this future where we're cappuccino debt slaves, as Nick Fuentes would say. And he wants everyone in the United States of America to be so mixed that they effectively don't know who or what they are. They're just like this huge mix of everything. This is what Doobie wants. Now, what I would say is that there's Northern European traditions like timeliness and industry and Scandinavian and German engineering and English rule of law and republicanism and American Northern European constitutionalism and mixed economy capitalism and this, that, the other. There's all these things. Why didn't he put 4% gooners? True. Now, there's a reason why, excuse me, there's a reason why everybody's having a panic attack. Because the panic attack is that if white Europeans are at like 1.15 or 1.5% demographic replacement rate, if Hispanics are slightly higher, if Muslims are higher, what traits did the Irish give to America? Alcoholism and carbohydrate tolerance. Irish people are able to consume vast amounts of carbohydrates without getting diabetes. So you're welcome. If you're of Irish descent, and you can eat shitloads of carbohydrates without getting diabetes, you're welcome for the Irish genetic contribution to American society. So anyways, let me go ahead and do a new drawing. And let me do a white interior. What Doobie didn't like about what I said is that I said that I would be interested in a plurality power sharing agreement where we naturally, in the United States, we naturally divide ourselves into ethno-religious categories. And like 90% of people typically marry within their ethno-religious and racial category. So whites, Northern European whites typically marry Northern European whites. Hispanics typically marry Hispanics. Black folk typically marry black folk. Asians typically marry Asians at like attuned to 90%. So of course there's like cross-pollination and there's people mixing and this, that, the other. But Doobie wants all of us to get into the giant gay sex pile That way we become cappuccino debt slaves. As a matter of fact, I forgot about the pile. So South Park, the pile. This is what Doobie wants us to do. He wants us to get into a giant gay orgiastic pile that then produces the brown future people. This is what Doobie wants, okay? The giant sex pile. All right. Unork says I didn't forget about the pile. I'm sure the 4% of gooners in my chat did not forget about the pile. Hashtag never forget. Oh, God, you guys are exhausting. Doobie has a frog profile, old school. So what I think is more likely to happen is that we will have, I need to make this more evenly a third. Oh, no. I need that one. I need the pile. Give me the pile. So I need the eraser. Sacred Snow says we're going to have to start requiring scheduled dues from Doobie for the amount of R-slurred takes that we have to. Well, he's caught up on his dues. Doobie has given like $1,500 to stream over the past like 90 days. If we had a dues membership requirement that if you give us psychic damage, you have to pay like $10 a month. Okay. Victoria? So it's 11:40. What time would you like me to be done? What time are you going to be back from the park? 12:30, 1 o'clock? Okay, so I should be done at 12:30? Okay, sounds good. Okay, guys, we're going to be wrapping up around 12:30, just because the wife is taking the kids to the park right now. And so I need to be wrapped up around that time to help out. All right, so let's say this is 33%. This is the whites 1,000 years from now. Okay. And then let's say, and that's just like Northern European mongrel mix. Okay. Because we're, you know, the English don't care about sleeping with the Spanish or the Italians or the whatever, but let's just say that we keep the concept of white. All right. And then what I would say is we could enter into a plurality with Hispanics, where Hispanics, we have so much cross-cultural stuff with the Hispanics. We're both European descended colonial projects. We are both Christian societies. We both love naps. We both love tacos. We both love corn. We both love horses. We both love caballeros, aka cowboys. A lot of Hispanics love firearms. A lot of Hispanics love vehicles. There's enough cultural cross-pollination and relational normalcy between the Hispanics and the Northern European whites that there's no reason why siestas, there's no reasons why we can't be friends. Okay. There's no reason why Hispanics and whites can't be friends. We should all be friends with Hispanics. Hispanics are great people. Right. And let me go ahead and try to make that a better 30% so it doesn't look like I'm trying to screw the Hispanics out of their thing. But if we had a 66% ethno-religious racial alliance between Hispanics and, yeah, the number one thing is language barrier. I agree. I think Hispanics and Northern European whites are actually natural allies, I suppose. And so I would argue that we should enter into, let's say this is still, okay, so this is 33, this is 33, so 13% would be black, which would be about half. And then Asians, we don't have to keep Asians low. Asians could be, you know, all of it. I don't care. Let me flip this. Let me flip the colors. And then let's say we have Muslims. And I'll make them like a quarter or something. And I know Muslims is not a race. I know it's a religion. But ideally, I would still like to keep like Muslims under 5% because they have this like whole jihadist thing going on. And I don't want the jihadist thing to, you know, continue 1,000 years from now. Ideally, I would actually really, really, really like it if we got past this whole like jihadist terrorist thing. And then let's say we had Jews and Jews stayed at like 2 to 5% of the population or whatever. This seems ethno-religiously sustainable to me. Okay. Real serious for 100 ARS says, as long as you keep calling football soccer, we will never be friends. Well, as long as those are the main sources of our problems, that's fine. And so what I was saying is that the white nationalists and the Christian nationalists, sorry that it's taken me a while in order to get this idea out of here, but between the white nationalists and the Christian nationalists, they are freaked out that the Northern European whites are going to become a demographic minority. And they think the Hispanics, the Asians, the Muslims, and the Jews and the blacks are going to create an evil coalition of the willing that are just going to annihilate the Northern European whites. They're going to terrorize them through a narco tyranny. They're going to rape them. They're going to murder them. They're going to, kill them. They're going to dispossess them from politics. They're going to do all this like horrible shit. And it's this like terrible colonial anxiety of like, well, all the fucked up shit that we did in the past, they're going to do to us. And so we have to maintain our Christian, white, Northern European majority, or else we're going to get like raped and murdered. Whereas, is there like a blending tool? Is there like a tool where I can just like smudge things? I wish there was a smudge tool. But the point is that like these lines could become blurry over time. And so if the Hispanics and the whites create like a block that 1,000 years from now, we don't even view ourselves as that different between Northern European and South American and North American is really not that big of a difference. That's not a existential threat. If Asians, let's face it, most Asians are honorary whites. If Asians could be another 33% of the population, and I still think the United States would survive as a project. Black folk could, increase in population, decrease in population. But as long as we actually solve the systemic issues of the Black community in reference to crime, education, poverty, that's not an existential threat to the United States. Muslims, just because I hate jihadist terrorism and jihadist terrorism is incredibly disruptive to society, I would want to regulate, immigration from Muslim communities, not because I don't think that like plenty of Muslims are awesome. I know and love plenty of Muslim people. But, there's this whole jihadist thing that we need to take care of over the next 1,000 years. And then Jews, insofar as they will exist 1,000 years from now, they don't seem terribly, worried about increasing their population. They just want to survive, right? So this is my 1,000-year prediction where the Republic could survive and could carry on. 1,000-year prediction of Republican stability. 1,000 years from now, I think that this demographic outlook, and even if it was smudged and blurred in some areas where like certain groups mixed with other groups to the point that we no longer differentiate them, I think that would be fine. I think America would be fine. And so that's where Doobie is calling me a white nationalist, because I even want 33% of the population to be Northern European, Caucasian 1,000 years from now. Whereas realistically, if my sons date a Hispanic girl and she's nice and she's beautiful and they want to have kids and they want to have a good life together, I'm not even going to give a shit if my Northern European blue-eyed boys end up hooking up with a Latina. So that's where Doobie calling me a white nationalist, I think, is just inaccurate and stupid. Anyways, sorry for boring you guys with my white nationalist. Connor is a white nationalist Doobie chart. But I think no ugly people. Well, we'll have CRISPR. So 1,000 years from now, there won't be any ugly people because we can. Yeah, and I'm a girl hottest nationalist. I agree with you, Bud123. The only thing that I care about, the Jews, the Muslims, the Asians, the blacks, and the Hispanics, I just care that they're radical about the entire population having a decent and normie life. So yeah, that's where. Anyways, enough of my racist past. Let's talk about my racist future. Sacred Snow says, as long as all the colors of people are cat boys and girls, Connor will be happy. No, I won't. I don't want a Navi future. You're terrible. All right. Back to the chat. Thank you for being here. Like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. Thank you to the 20 people who have donated. Thank you, Real Serious, for the most recent donation. Thank you to Patriarch for the 10 gifted Valor Media Network memberships, and thank you to Christian Blair's for the $300. Insane donation. Anyways, scrolling and yapping. We got, just being real, we got another 45 minutes. So let me check my Discord. Nobody wants to call me right now, so I'm just going to engage with chat. Beef Supreme says, it's well known that the aircraft carrier does everything a battleship could, and they replaced battleships. I agree, because effectively on a carrier, you've taken all of the weapons and you've made them even smaller. It's just obvious. Says, I know how to get humans into space to destroy the Earth. Let's not do that. Let's skip on the destroying the Earth. Keep Your Bill Stein says, the ideal rocket equation is a cruel mistress. True. It's just basically the plot of a Gundam movie. Well, good. Grassroots says, just the part of Bill Clinton getting knobbed by Trump. Bud123 says, if Jeffrey Epstein was foreign intelligence, why would he leave evidence and photos of his crimes? Why not? If he was brazen, you understand that the intelligence services use people who are themselves not employees of the intelligence services, right? Like the CIA goes all over the world and it connects with rich and powerful people that it can use as leverage in other societies that are not themselves employees of intelligence services, but they operate for the intel services. We understand this, right? Real Serious with 200 ARS. Argentina already has something like that. We have a lot of whites, but a lot of them are sort of mixed, light brown. Lots of miscegenation happened here. We also use the banned word that starts with an N word regularly in an affectionate way. Based. The future is Argentinian. AKA Batusai says, what was the return on investment for landing people on the moon? Nothing as far as I know, except for the future potentially doing a moon colony. Horse God is talking to Barabbas. Horses United says, Pixie and Destiny just spent over 200K. Pixie has decided. Yeah, but I think if Pixie actually just took a 200K check, that would have saved everybody time, money, blood, and all that kind of stuff. Ice says, why are the criminally insane, bro? Probably genetics. We can fix it with CRISPR. Jim Baker says, hi, Connor. Hi, Cogs. Hi, my favorite FBI employee. Good to see you, Mr. Jim Baker. Real Serious says, don't forget the international operatives. Yes. Sudden Impulse says, there's no feeling more comfortable about it when you barely survive 2 school mass shootings by the time you're 25. Ooh, we can get into shooting stuff. Those civilians didn't do shit in either instance. Heck, the Uvalde cops didn't even do anything. Uvalde, I'm a firearm owner, by the way. So Sudden Impulse. In my ideal society, okay, civilians would be concealed carriers. And for those of you who are not familiar with concealed carrier culture, there's bad concealed carrier culture where they're praying that a motherfucker would. That way they get to shoot somebody in public because they're bloodthirsty freaks. And then there's responsible concealed carrier culture where you have a pistol on you, not because you're excited to kill another human being, but because you know that some bad shit might go down and the cops are going to take several minutes to respond. In a good response time society, law enforcement officers take 2 to 3 minutes to get to the scene, okay? But routinely in busy cities, the response time for a critical incident will be 10 minutes to 20 minutes, and a response to a non-critical incident will be like 45 minutes to 2 to 3 hours. And so knowing that those are the response times to critical incidents are between 3 and 20 minutes. Yeah, Rob says 2 to 3 minutes. Jesus Christ, I wish. In my city, we had a 2 to 3 minute response time for critical incidents because we had 4 officers in 4 zones who were constantly available. And we did respond to all the dumb calls for service. We did burglaries. We did traffic issues. We did cats stuck in sewers. We did gators in the middle of the road. We did all that kind of shit. But also, if there was a critical incident, there would be a first responder on scene within 2 to 3 minutes. And then the rest of the units were hauling ass to get to that location. We actually had an excellent response time in my city. Now, excuse me. And also, I live in a community with excellent response time. My response time in my current city is probably 3 to 5 minutes. But the point is, during a critical incident like a mass shooting, if somebody shows up to a class with a firearm, they can basically butcher that class without a response because they can butcher a class within a couple of minutes. They can kill 20 to 30 people within 2 to 3 minutes, right? So when it comes to those kinds of scenarios, I think kids age appropriately, like number one, schools should be secured in a way that actually makes sense. We don't have to make them look like prisons, but they should still be securable during the school day in a way that actually prevents mass shooters from thinking that they have a chance. Then number two, we should teach kids in an age appropriate way, run, hide, fight. Because let's say we have a scenario where a guy is able to gain access to a class, or it's a student and they pull out a gun in the middle of class. All the students who are similar in age, weight, and fighting ability should basically know instinctively, if we don't take action, we are fucked. And so as a result, the students know, tackle the guy, charge the guy, let's go, right? That should be the mindset, especially middle school and up. I understand elementary school, we kind of want to keep our kids innocent to a certain age, maybe 8 years old, maybe 10 years old. We want to keep them innocent. But you could even teach my son. My son's 8 years old right now. You could just say, hey, if there's a bad guy, everybody attacks. And boom, you could have a bunch of 8-year-olds who are ready to swarm and attack somebody if somebody is attacking their friends and family. But it's a psychological shift, right? It's a psychological shift where you have to get people out of the fight, flight, freeze, OODA loop, which OODA loop is used improperly all the time, but it's observe, orient, direct, and act, where you observe, you orient yourself towards the target, you direct and act. Input, output, you said that sounds R-slurred. Why does it sound R-slurred? Explain thyself, input, output. Why would teaching kids at the middle school level run, hide, fight at an age-appropriate way be bad? Would Uvalde have been better if they had age-appropriate run, hide, fight? Would what is it? Columbine be better? Would Virginia Tech be better? Would all of them be better? Like you guys are crazy if you think like even run, hide, fight in reference to Pulse. There were 20 people in a 10-foot by 20-foot bathroom with the shooter for like 6 hours, and they all got murdered because they were so paralyzed by fear. They watched the guy just shoot everyone sequentially in the head, and they didn't do anything. Whereas if they had all charged at the same time, they could have beat that motherfucker to death. So Uvalde was an elementary school. And I'm saying age appropriate. So input, output saying this is R-slurred. I think that this is why I hate liberals, by the way. Sorry. Old school for $5 says, you missed my Cyberpunk chat. I'll put it in comments. It just pointed out to watching Brian Menard's playthroughs and that Brian was Marin and Army. Okay. I still need to do that. Anyways. Doors should be securable. It should have single point access. It should have buzzer doors. It should have security cameras, all that stuff. We should do all that stuff. If we're going to spend trillions of dollars trying to improve Iraq and Afghanistan, we should be willing to spend billions of dollars to secure our schools from being mass shooting stuff. So Bud123 says, going to the gym to do leg day, but I'll still be listening to you in the background. Thank you, Bud123. Parasocial love to you and yours. All right. Anyways. Yeah, it's not going to prevent Rob F. I didn't say it was going to prevent all school shootings. We're talking about statistical reductions. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about preventing all of when I talk about mitigating murders and reducing murders in the United States through early intervention programs for Black youth in rough communities. Am I talking about reducing all murders, or am I talking about reducing murders statistically? I'm of course talking about reducing murders statistically, not in all circumstances. I need to continue with my rant, but I'm engaging with chat because you guys are asking pertinent questions. Zena says, how do you feel about using smoke systems that would fill the halls with smoke so a shooter can't aim? That seems like an overinvestment. That seems like some fucking Scooby-Doo, Inspector Gadget shit. Rob says, I don't think it will move the needle on how many people die in a school shooting. Why? Now I need to draw a drawing because you're pissing me off. File, new, zoom out. We got two scenarios here. God, you guys just piss me off. You just don't fucking think at all. Either that or you've just never been involved in violence. We have two, as a matter of fact, hold on. I'll literally copy and paste it. I'll copy and paste it so the classrooms are the exact same size. We have one dickhead in school, and let's just put him in a random place, okay? And he has a gun. All right, so I'm going to put his arms out, and I'm going to give him a little stick. Okay, and that stick, this is a vertical view. All right, we are from God's eye, and there's 30 kids because let's be real. Let me get a good circle, and then let me copy paste it. Copy paste, 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 paste. Paste. I should do 20 circles, but you guys are gonna. Rob says I didn't mean to cause this anger. It's okay. I'm a naturally angry person. Don't worry about it, Rob. If you're new, don't worry about it. I'm Irish. I'm a naturally angry person. It's not your fault. God made me this way. Okay. We will blame God. Paste. 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 A naturally angry white man. Hide your kids. Hide your kids. Hide your wife. All right. Anyways, so here's two scenarios. And this is what pisses me off about what you said. Okay. This person is presumably, if it's a kid who's in the school who pulls out a pistol that he hid in his backpack, he is presumably the same age, height, and weight as his peers. If it's an adult who has entered the classroom, well, we already failed, right? I'm trying so hard to listen, bro. Make it less hard. No, ICE 101. Use your eyeballs. We're talking about something serious. So if it's somebody who is an adult who's outside the school, then we need to minimize his opportunities to get into the class. Okay. What you just said to me, though, is that if this guy just starts executing everybody in the class and one by one, he starts shooting everybody and they just sit there allowing themselves to be shot, then we will not statistically reduce shootings by training kids and teachers that when somebody pulls out a gun and or a knife, or just starts beating the fuck out of people, because this could also just reduce gang violence. All those videos of like students watching their teacher or watching their peers getting the shit kicked out of them? Imagine if they were trained on run, hide, fight, but they also applied it to bullies. Imagine if they applied this to bullies. That would be fucking great. That would make our society less R-slurred. So hold on. So what you just said to me, Rob, which I found incredibly silly, but I appreciate you saying I didn't mean to cause this anger. It's not on screen. Oh, shit. My bad. That's my fault. Connor's a boomer. Connor's an R-slur. What else is new? The good news is that the drawing is still great. So right now what's happening... Okay, I thought my eyes have been doing it wrong. My bad. Classic Connor boomer moment. But what Rob said, all peace and love to Rob, is that if we might as well not train our kids to do the run, hide, fight, age appropriate stuff, because you don't think that we will statistically reduce the amount of people killed during a critical mass shooting incident. However, what I'm telling you right now is that in mass shootings, because we don't train, we are watching, effectively people are engaging in run, hide, fight, freeze. And right now, because we have no training, people are freezing. And so they're watching a shooter pull out a pistol or a rifle, and they're watching their friends and family be butchered because they don't know what to do, because kids are typically innocent and they do not think in violent terms. Whereas, especially once you hit the middle school level, and arguably in the middle to late elementary school level, you could probably teach people run, hide, fight. And you could, number one, you just need to block the shooter from getting in through a variety of security means. But number two, let's say it's a kid with a pistol. Let's say you're in a middle school class. They're seventh grade, sixth grade, something like that. And they pull out a pistol and they're going to start blasting their peers. Well, what happens is if you train people in run, hide, fight, they could swarm and beat the fuck out of the shooter, take the gun, and the people are going to win. There's no way within an enclosed space you can't have a dozen people swarm you with a single weapon and not get swarmed and not get your shit kicked in. And so, yes, my argument is that training people in run, hide, fight, particularly in mass shooting contexts, can and will reduce casualties. So I'm going to say this as casualty reduction through run, hide, fight. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to leave this thing up, okay? Because there is something else that we should do. We have seen the failure. Rob says, I just think you'd run into bystander effect, poor training in mass. Law enforcement, military sign up for it. Most people aren't like that. Yeah, most cops freeze because they don't have enough training. So wait. Hold up, Rob. This is what's silly to me. You're saying that if we trained people on how to behave properly during a critical incident, there would be failures. I agree with you. But once again, I'm not trying to eliminate all societal violence. I'm trying to reduce the statistical effectiveness of that violence. Fell Runner says, Connor, I love you, but a 6-year-old is not going to snap his boot camp training into gear when they hear a gunshot far away, let alone up close with your friend being exploded next to you. I'm not talking about a 6-year-old. I'm talking about an 8-year-old. I'm talking about a 10-year-old. I'm talking about a 12-year-old. I'm talking about a 14-year-old. And by the way, what's frustrating to me is I think you guys are shameful. 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 You come from a long line of cavemen. You come from a long line of men and women who survived in the fucking wilderness, slaughtering deer with spiky sticks and then eating their livers raw. And you're saying an 8-year-old isn't capable of violence? Have you ever met a fucking 8-year-old? Dude, 8-year-olds, just to put this real, my 8-year-old has been in karate for 2 fucking years, okay? And my son routinely walks into the room and fucking full body punches me in the genitals. You think a dozen karate trained kids punching you in the genitals isn't going to do something? Are you crazy? You're crazy. So anyways, we're talking about statistical reduction. We're not talking about preventing all violence. I think you guys are straw manning me because you can't actually stand up. Your son doesn't want any more siblings? Nah. Anyways, so the point is that we also have something called the Guardian program. I don't know. It may be unhinged, but my dad drilled in my head super young, the whole bad guys are real and they come for you. You got to kill them or they'll kill you. Yeah. You should do a drunk stream if you still drink. I mean, I will, but you know, this is the other thing. So there is something, and I'm with Jonah. Bad guys exist, and if a bad guy comes to fuck your shit up, you need to be ready to fuck his shit up. I've been telling my boys that since they existed. Anyways, There's something psychological where a single person is a point of failure. Okay? And I'm going to put this as I'm going to do a green arrow. And I'm going to do this because this is the system as it presently exists, okay? The system as it presently exists is we typically have one school resource officer who is expected to go into this scenario of massacre, an ongoing massacre, and then stop the massacre. And as people have pointed out, in Columbine, in Uvalde, in a whole bunch of places, this system has failed. And the reason why it's failed, in my opinion, is because there are so many points of potential failure, and one of them is psychological. And the truth is that when you have two adults who are well trained for a disaster scenario, they are more likely to psychologically buoy each other in the dangerous psychological scenario, and they're more likely to do the right thing. And so you say it failed because cops aren't the heroes we thought they were. That's not true, Beef. I fucking hate you guys. Dude, I hate you guys. You guys take individual points of failure and you apply it to the entirety of society. Uvalde were cowards. Uvalde didn't do what they needed to do. What was the trans shooter? Trans school shooter. What was this one? Children killed. That's not the one. Is it Covenant? Abundant Life? I think it was Abundant. Abundant Life, K through 12. 2 people were killed and 6 others were wounded. I think it was. Abundant Life school shooting body cam. Abundant Life school shooting body camera. Okay, so I don't know if this is going to show me what I want to see. I'm looking for the body cam. Let me see if that's part of the press. Nope. All right, let me find it. Abundant Life school shooting body camera. Where is it? Dude, I saw this body cam when it came out, and I swear to God, it was on... I swear to God, it was on YouTube. Do I need to go to like Pepperbox or something? Do I need a Pepperbox membership? Donut Operator. Maybe Donut Operator has it. Let me take a look. Donut Operator trans shooting. Cops rush active shooter. Okay, this is it, bro. So you're saying that Beef Supreme, this is where you pissed me off, and sorry it's taken me so long to get to where you pissed me off, okay? What pisses me off about you saying cops aren't the heroes that we think they are. Uvalde, they failed. Columbine, they failed. What's the other one? The Parkland, they failed. Okay? And they failed because they had a point of failure, which was having a single SRO, and they also failed because the gunman was allowed to do what they wanted to do without any kind of run, hide, fight training. Whereas if you had the students responding with run, hide, fight, and then you also had multiple points of failure with the SROs, effectively either an SRO and a guardian or 2 SROs who are specifically trained for active shooter response. And if they're not trained for active shooter response, then they're kicked out of the job. The reason why you saying, oh, well, cops aren't the heroes that we think they are. These cops are. Okay? What happened in this thing, which I don't know if they're going to show. This is probably the wrong one, by the way. I don't think this is the right one. But they press the entire time. There's like a guy, there's a lead sergeant. This is not the one that I was thinking about. But the whole point is that they press the entire time. There's like a sergeant who's walking with them and he's like, okay, clear left, clear right, let's go. Clear left, clear right, let's go. Push, 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 push. Push, 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 push. And the whole point of it is that when you have an SRO who is willing to actually do the job, you can reduce the amount of casualties in an active shooter incident. It was the trans girl at a Christian school who shot the principal, who shot a couple of students and a couple of administrators. She had a Kel-Tec sub 2000. She was making her way down to the classes and the cops pressed her. And so she died. You guys are fucking about to use ableist slurs. Generally, I don't think cops are the heroes people make them out to be. Sometimes they can be. Yeah, no shit. All right, way to get back to the same position. Rob says, if we can't even get cops to the press the whole time, what's the chance we train middle schoolers to? You're increasing your chances of people being more likely to act by training people in run, hide, fight. What is this law? I'm gonna have a stroke. What is this perspective? What is this perspective of we can't train every person to a decent standard and some people are cowards, so we might as well not even try? What is your logic behind this? Like, do you apply this? So hold on. Let's say that grassroots hegemon took this attitude. Let's say he said, "Oh well, most people can't become electrical engineers, so I'm just not going to try. Most people can't be cops, so I'm just not going to try. Most people can't be military, so I'm just not going to try. Most people can't work a job. Most people can't do calculus. I'm just not going to try." What is this fucking attitude? No, we can't train all our soldiers to be unarmed soldiers. Did I say that? Did I say we need to train all of our unarmed students to be soldiers? Did I say that? Have you? Ooh, I'm gonna have a stroke. I'm gonna have a stroke. You guys are fucking. You guys are dumb. You guys are so fucking dumb. This training already exists. So we have a law enforcement officer. So these are kids who are 6 to 8 years old, maybe even younger, and they're being trained for run, hide, fight. Okay? So statistically, if you can get off campus, the point is to get off campus. So if you hear the shooting, getting off of campus, then you get off of campus. Okay? That's the run element of run, hide, fight. You get off campus, you do inventory. Okay, so hide. The shooting is close. All right? So you hide. And by the way, this class is horribly unprepared. This is terrible preparedness. This is very stupid. Okay? This is bad training. But that's fine. And then fight. Let's say it's happening across the hallway. You barricade the hallway, and then you fight. Now, is this some Hollywood shit? Is this silly? Is watching a 5-foot woman fighting a dude in a hoodie, is this silly? Yes, but silly as fuck. Yes, this is silly as fuck. But at the same time, is this better than just sitting there getting ready to be shot? You guys are pussies. That's all I can say. You guys are just pussies. You're pusillanimous. Hell yeah, get some! Get some! Get some! Smack that dude with a textbook. Stab that dude with a flag. Bash their head in with a fire extinguisher. By the way, this is horrible preparedness. I think this is cringe. I'm not going to lie. This is cringe. Telling your teachers to stab an active shooter with a pair of scissors is kind of cringe. We should be more prepared than this. But the whole point is that this is better than nothing. Okay? It's better than nothing. And you guys are saying, oh, well, it's cringe and not everybody's going to be able to do it, so we should do nothing. which I think is very silly. Damn, that's some bad training, though. That is some straight up bad training. All right. Anyways, the way it goes, they're killed unaware or taken hostage like Uvalde and are sitting there praying they won't die. Right. And that's bad. Right. Fellrunner says, how about pro-gun control people not spurg out when the conversation veers into gun control? Yeah, sorry. Fellrunner, go ahead with the gun control that you think will prevent mass shootings. Tell me which one. Tell me which one of the Democrat proposed gun control arguments prevent mass shootings. Please tell me. Please tell me. Please tell me. Give me a solution, man. I'm happy to hear a solution. We're kind of chilling. I mean, I got like a little pissed off in reference to this topic because you guys are libbing out on me, which is fine. It's fine. It's fine. We're a community of libertarians and conservatarians, but they're only 30% of my chat. 60% of the COG are pissed off liberals. And so liberals are going to lib. So gun control will never happen in the US, so it's boring to argue about it. Also, guns are cool. That's not even true. There are gun control measures that you could do in the United States. Red flag laws, for instance. Read my chats because I agree with most of your points. Okay, I love you, Fellrunner. I love you. But Beef Supreme knows that he can say something super lib and super soy and be smug about it. And then the vein in the side of my head, I can feel it pulsating to the point that I'm worried that it's going to rupture and I'm actually going to die. And I think Beef Supreme knows that they can say something and it might actually kill me on stream. Like I might actually die on stream. Red flags are a good idea or not a good idea. I like red flag laws just fine. The problem, Patriarch, the problem with red flag laws is that there's no due process. There's no due process on the back end. We got to fix the due process. But the whole thing of having some schizo fucking freak posting on Facebook, hey, I'm going to go shoot up a school. And then the cops show up and confiscate his guns and say, hey, you got to show up to a judge on Monday morning in order to talk about why you deserve to get your guns back because you just said that you're going to shoot up a school. I have no problems with that. I got no problems with people posting technically legal spicy shit to social media and having their guns taken pending review by a judge. Now, it should be a jury of peers. It should be a judge in order to get the red flag, the ERPO, the emergency risk protection order, but then it should be a jury of peers after 30 days. So Beef Supreme says, lol, kissy face, kissy face, kissy face, kissy face. You know what you're doing, Beef Supreme. You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. All right, anyways, hold on. Let me respond to live chat real quick. I'm gonna pull up live chat. Patriarch says, if that was the only way red flag laws work, then I'm all for it. Right. With the current Supreme Court, I don't even think new red flag laws would stay on the books. No, they will. Red flag laws are already in place at the state level. They're already in place at the state level, and they're not getting overturned. I'm gonna scroll up that way. You guys, by saying lib soy shit, like, well, people, you can't train people to a decent standard, therefore we should do nothing. I'm just gonna read some of those chats, and then a vein in my temple is gonna rupture, and I'm gonna die on stream, and it's gonna be your fault. It's gonna be your fault, and I'm gonna die. Xena says, are you able to regain neck mobility with dedicated physiotherapy, or are you just stuck like that? So far, I've been stuck like this. Jonah says, but my dad's from the hood. He had to kill to survive in his youth, and I had a death in the family super young. There you go. Isosceles hold only 70s. True. Still, it's kind of a miracle I didn't grow up to be Dexter Morgan. Me too. This is an adult problem. True. There were 3 against 1,000, toughest 3 we ever fought. Don't know what that means. Roddy Hobbs says they don't pay enough to die, just get paid enough to quit when it gets loud. Some cops for sure. It failed because cops aren't the heroes they thought they were. That's what triggered the fuck out of me. Sorry if I use the same broad brush to paint just like cops. Yeah. Dude, I always caveat my Islamic bigotry, my anti-Muslim bigotry. I always caveat my anti-black bigotry. Can you caveat your anti-cop bigotry? You know, if I'm going to be fucking soy And I'm going to be like, listen, guys, 98%, 99% of black people are perfectly decent, working class and middle class human beings who contribute to American society, and we shouldn't villainize them just because 2% of the population are dickheads. If I say that, can you put some caveats on your police criticism, or do you just want to actually kill me on stream? Fell Runner says, we apply the points of failure to the entire country in future incidents. True. I don't know if that's the one to put on Stream King, laugh my ass off. Maybe. Nobody needs you to find it. Okay, well then know what I'm talking about and stop being lib and soy about it. Keep Your Bill Stein says, shooter didn't make it into the building, did they? Yes, they did. Thought they were shooting through the windows. That's not the one I'm talking about. Rob says, YouTube has horrible search in action. True. The Aurora movie theater shooting had a theater full of adults that didn't tackle the shooter. Bondi had a guy take a shooter's gun. Circumstances are not what we were asking for. True. And by the way, in Bondi, the most recent shooting, what ended up happening was a single person ran up and tackled one of the shooters with a bolt action rifle, and he had an opportunity to kill the shooter and he didn't. And allegedly the shooter went back to his friend, got another gun, and then continued the mass shooting. Whereas if that guy had pulled the trigger and killed the shooter, then he would have reduced the amount of casualties during the Bondi shooting. Beef Supreme says, generally, I don't think cops are the heroes people make them out to be. Maybe sometimes they can be. Yes, sometimes they can be. Rob says, if we can't even get all cops suppressed the whole time, what's the chance we train middle schoolers to? Once again, don't let perfection be the impossible of the good or great. If we can apply this logic, dude, Rob, the reason why you're pissing me off is because you would never apply this logic to any other situation. And Rodney says, so we need a SWAT team in every school. No. This is the one that I wanted to get back to in order to get to. Okay. Let's Google school resource officer real quick. School resource officer. Okay. A school resource officer can be a cop with a vest, with a pistol, and even a nice friendly dog, and they can direct traffic in the morning, and they can say hello to people, and they can shake hands, they can do mentoring, they can do domestic violence investigations, they can do child abuse investigations, they can hang out in after school programs, they can talk to kids, they can hang out in the cafeteria. Dude, SROs are, believe it or not, law enforcement officers are human beings, right? Law enforcement officers are human beings with interests and hobbies and music taste, and some of them actually genuinely love their communities and are interested in protecting their communities. Okay? So I'm not saying, and let's take a look at a SWAT officer. Okay? SWAT officer, because this is where you're being a straw manning piece of shit, and I'm trying not to stroke out on stream. So a SWAT officer is a guy in militarized garb with an M4 rifle, hard plates, a cool tactical helmet, and a bunch of active shooter response gear, right? So this is a SWAT officer. These are guys that are about to go on a raid. So you're saying, do I want these guys in every school in America? Obviously not. Because there's a hybrid active shooter response kit. This is an active shooter response kit. And what it is it's a med bag and it's SAPI plates, right? So it's SAPI plates and a trauma kit, because a SAPI plates stops rifle rounds and a trauma kit has tourniquets and quick clot. And so some active shooter response med kits might even have an EKG. And so the point of having this stuff not on your person at all times, but available, is so that the SRO, Officer McFriendly over here, can throw on some hard plates and get a trauma kit and respond to a mass shooting instantaneously. Okay? It's actually, oh shit, I wasn't even showing you guys that shit. Fuck, I'm such an asshole. Such a dickhead. Let me show this to you. Sorry, I'll try to be brief. School resource officer. This is Officer McFriendly. This is who I was talking about, right? Kind of fat guy, kind of in shape guy, nice little girl, in-shape cop, female cop, in-shape cop, Officer McFriendly, right? SWAT officer. Here's what you were asking, whether or not I wanted that in every school. Obviously not. Active shooter response kit. Armor plates. Trauma med kit. Officer McFriendly grabs their sappy plates, grabs their trauma kit, and runs towards the gunfire. That's what I want. Stop strawmanning me. Stop pissing me off. All right. Nightgale Wing. Oh, that one's super old, so I'm not going to respond to that one. That is like 2 hours old. Connor, I agree that students can and should be retrained, but I want you to accept that the mitigation does not solve circumstances where people fail. This is why the combo inevitably turns to, so you're arguing we need SWAT teams in the school. No. I was more violent in middle school than ever, laughed my ass off. True. We can train them, so let's do it. Yeah. And it should be age appropriate. It shouldn't be like, hey guys, you need to gouge out the eyes of a mass shooter and feel you need to learn to love the squish of eyeballs in your thumbs. I'm not going to be telling middle schoolers that shit, right? I'm just going to say, hey, if some bad guy is trying to beat your ass and or kill you, it's your job as a class to beat their ass. And if they're trying to kill you, it's your job to kill them. I think that's perfectly sane. The perspective is they just want to take guns from lawful citizens. No, we can't train all of our kids to be unarmed child soldiers. I never said that, Rodney. You're strawmanning like a motherfucker. Chat, don't break this guy. They already have. I think drills are fine, but they aren't going to do much. That's it. Pusillanimous mentality. Fell Runner says I'm fine with the Lyconian society, but I bet it has gun control. Ah ha 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 ha. Lyconian, is that the Martians who broke away in order to create a militarist society across the realm gate and expanse? I had this training, and I would have 100% froze up at the gun when I was 11. Weak, Rob. Weak. That's weak. Go do some push-ups right now. Beef Supreme says, I didn't say that. I'm just saying not all cops are the heroes we think they are. This seems blatantly obvious to me. Sure. I go to the bathroom and return to Connor calling me dumb. Did I call you dumb? I thought I was calling Beef Supreme dumb. Actually, I wasn't even calling Beef Supreme dumb. I was saying that Beef Supreme is trying to trigger me and trying to get me to die on live stream. The running and hiding part are going to be far more effective for you. For you. Patriarch says universal basic AR-15s. I mean, that's one way we could go. Rob says the way it goes, they're killed unaware or taken hostage like Uvalde and are sitting there praying they won't die. Yeah, so do something about it. 30 kids can totally take down a lone gunman if they set their minds to it. I'm with Jonah. How about pro-gun people not spurg out? Well, right, but I asked you guys for gun control stuff that'll actually affect this, and I don't think anybody has any solution. Somebody with a Glock with a 10-round magazine limit in California can commit a mass shooting. It's just true. So what gun control proposals are you actually proposing that will prevent mass shootings from being lethal? Right, titanium marbles, so let's just not try. That's the attitude that I'm getting. Gun control will never happen in the U.S. I don't agree. Read my chats because I agree with most of your points. Fell Runner, I love you. Thank you for not trying to kill me. Red flag laws. Patriarch and I think broke bread where, yes, red flag laws can be abused. But in my opinion, if you are schizo posting on the internet about doing a terrorist attack or a mass shooting, law enforcement should be able to show up with a warrant from a judge and temporarily take your firearms. And you should have to show up to the judge and explain why your internet joke was actually super funny and based and why you didn't mean it. And if the judge believes you, he can give you your firearms back. If he doesn't believe you, he can put it out to 30 days. And then after 30 days, a jury of your peers should establish whether or not you're allowed to get your guns back or whether or not you can have a temporary suspension of your ability to own firearms. And I think the suspension should be limited to a year, at which point it should be reevaluated. And it should be reevaluated annually. Because if you're like a schizophrenic who doesn't take your meds and does hard drugs, then I don't think you should get your guns back. If you're a shit poster who said something crazy on the internet, then obviously you should get your guns back. Call W says, to be honest, I think gun control can be good, but most Dems don't understand guns and they come up with terrible proposals because to them guns are basically magic. True. That's the vibe that I'm getting right now. Sorry that I just skipped. I scrolled and it scrolled me all the way to the bottom. Are we cop trolling Connor? Apparently. The law part of red flags isn't the problem. The problem is trying to make sure the laws aren't allowed to piss off ex-girlfriend from false reporting. Agreed. Any plans to beat zero plan? Yeah, I got lots of plans that beat no plan. I want some control. Sure. Thoughts on mandatory secure storage? I think that mandatory secure storage should be added with a caveat of criminal or civil liability if you do not store your weapons properly. And so what I mean by that is that we are citizens of the United States. We are allowed to keep and bear arms. Our homes are our castles, and we decide what happens in our homes. And so if there's a guy who likes sleeping with a pillow under his, a gun under his pillow, I don't want that guy to go to jail or prison and have his firearms confiscated for the sole crime of sleeping with a pistol under his pillow. However, if he lets his schizophrenic teenager get access to that gun, and then his schizophrenic teenager hurts or kills someone, then he should be held civilly and criminally liable. All right. To be honest, I think gun control can be good. Yes. I want some control. Sure. How do we meet in the middle? I think we kill ourselves first. Can I have a small nuke? No. The libertarians are not allowed to have nukes. Sorry, tough shit. Are we cop trolling Connor? Apparently. Fellow Runner says, don't spiral backwards into the arguments. No, that's what we're going to do. Titanium Marble says, bro, just walk after this. The body resets itself. In all seriousness, love the streaming community. Happy holidays to everyone. Yeah, I love you too, Titanium. Don't worry about it. Rob says, my logic was just, I don't think it would move the needle. Okay. Rob, stop being weak. Go do some push-ups right now. Ma77 says, you either fight or die. True. Chat is making me feel bad for the Valor guy. How dare you, chat? Thank you, Ice. I appreciate your sympathy. Beef Supreme says, I'll stop being tough on cops. Thank you. Sacred Snow, we just need to have the kids play Ready or Not. True. You said don't have a stroke. I think teenagers should play Ready or Not. Laugh my ass off. Has it been 2 hours? Yes, it's been 2 hours. We're probably wrapping up in a minute. Remember, you can squish an eye with the strength it takes to squish a large grape. True. Yes, but also it's Sparta, another name for Spartans. Nice. Yeah. I want a society like that. I just don't like running. Call W says, I think the best argument for training kids is that they have motivation to stay alive, and police don't have a strong motivation to risk their lives to save kids they don't know, like at Uvalde. Right, Call W. The reason why I get upset, though, is because I think that, I'll just speak as a former law enforcement officer. When every cop is believed to be a Uvalde pussy, I think it drags away from the DEA. I think they were DEA agents. The DEA agents showed up in jeans and hard plates and guns. And they were like, let's go. And then Uvalde said, no, we're lining all this shit up. And then the DEA, I think it was DEA, team waited about 10 to 20 minutes to see if the local cops would unfuck themselves. And they said, we're going. And if you try to stop us, basically, you can't stop us. You're going to have to kill us in order to stop us from going in. And so it was DEA agents who went into Uvalde first before local police. And so I don't like to besmirch the honor of the DEA agents who were ready to go the instant they showed up on scene and who forced local cops to finally do their jobs. I don't want to besmirch their honor. Likewise, I don't want to besmirch the honor of the police officers. You could look it up. I don't think it's not the one where they shot through the walls of the church. It was a private school. It was a trans shooter. She had a Kel-Tec sub 2000. She went into the office. She shot a principal. She shot a family member, and she shot 2 students. And then she was making her way through the common areas, but the building was already locked down. And then the cops, not only did they respond within 3 to 5 minutes of the first shots going out, but they also pressed into the building and they smoked the trans lady within 3 minutes. They showed up in 3 minutes. They killed her within 3 to 5 minutes. So I don't want to besmirch the honor of those cops because they did the right thing. Anonymous Chatter says, I think you're going to have a hard time with the Karens getting on board with their precious baby being taught to take their own self-defense into their own hands. Even if I disagree, it's better than dying. True. FT Walday says gay mods, lol. True. Sounds like gun control. I mean, yeah, my problem with Democrats is not that they want gun control in general. My problem is that their policies don't make any fucking sense. Sorry for the F-bomb. Grimsley says, thought about requiring paper firearms records for the ATF versus allowing them to have digital records. I don't care if they have digital records. Grassroots20 says, when Connor said he wanted to take guns from shitposting schizophrenics, I took that personally. Rob says, I think unless there are clear signs of derangement from your teen, you should be liable if they steal your gun. Yep. Old School says, but what if a stranger breaks in and grabs the pillow gun? I think it depends on how negligent it is, right? Depends on how negligent it is. Riot. True. Fellow Runner says, Connor, what about Judge Dredd style DNA locks and identifiers on bullets? Nope. Not until the technology is way better. And I don't even like it as a concept. Because basically what you could do is you could biolock all the guns, and then you could prevent an armed revolution from being able to arm itself against the tyrannical government through those prohibitions. Beef Supreme says, I hate to say it, Connor, but most people think cops are pussies. So, okay, well, not all cops are pussies. That's my point. And most cops aren't even pussies. I would say a third of cops are pussies. A third of cops are average bravery. A third of cops are the most hardcore motherfuckers you've ever met in your life, just like any industry. Well, QC John, thank you for the Christmas present. Gifted 10 Valor Media Network memberships. Thank you, King. Jen Winkler says, I thought the parents went in. They tried to. I think they got arrested. And seriously, man, thank you for the 10 gifted. It does mean a lot. I really do love this community, even though I can seriously, like, if I don't show up to stream again, if I have a stroke today and a blood vessel bursts in my head and I die, you guys can blame Beef Supreme. Okay? You can blame him. You can hold him accountable for why your favorite streamer is now dead. Okay? Blame Beef Supreme. Sacred Snow says, for real, most gun violence is committed with stolen guns, correct? Feels like charging owners for the crimes committed with their guns would solve most problems. I would add a caveat of retreat is a valid military target. Unless you can prove it was stolen from a secure location, it takes 3 seconds to get your pistol out of a thumbprint lock case. There's no excuse. There's an even better one, though, but this is where I don't want to prohibit it, okay? I think people should be able to take the risk of not having secured firearms. However, they are accountable for what those firearms are used for. And if those firearms are stolen, they have to repeat it. They have to say it instantaneously. So here's something called a stop box. I can't watch a video because YouTube is really bad about that. But effectively, take a look at this thing. So a stop box has a button. The button is on this side. And then it has a 4-key password where you can do the rock symbol, you can do middle fingers, you can do just the middle finger, you can do the finger and pinky, you can do whatever. But basically, there's a combination of buttons that you press at the top, and you have instantaneous access to your home defense weapon. So yes, I think the stop box is an excellent idea for home self-defense. I don't think I would legally require it. But once again, if you leave your pistol out and your 10-year-old kills themselves, I think you should go to prison. Anyways. Excuse me. Back to chat. What time is it? It's basically time for me to go, but I love you guys, so I'm going to stay for a little bit longer. Well, QC John with the 10. Thank you, King. I'm going to thank everybody before we dip out. Fell Runner says, South Texas cops failing to stop a bad guy is just bad for NRA talking points. True. Sacred Snow says, for real, most gun violence is committed with stolen guns. I think I addressed that one. And you should have to immediately, if you are one of those dickheads who leaves your guns out and they get stolen, you have to report it the second that it's stolen. If your gun is used in a crime and you don't report it stolen, then I think that should be a crime as well. Holy shit, did I miss out on stream today? What did you do, Beef Supreme? Lol. Yeah, he almost killed me. Beef, the attempt on my life by Beef Supreme has left me scarred and deformed. But we will consolidate the cog into one galactic empire. Adam Friended is lurking in chat. That's interesting. Patriarch says biometric gun locks are countered by a libertarian dev willing to jailbreak a gun. True, but I don't even want to push that. I think that should be a voluntary technology. Biolock guns are good as an option. No. Vice says, dude, I throw sharp things for anger management. Don't underestimate a knife. True. It happens. He knows I'm just pushing his buttons because he was a cop. Yeah, but I feel the vein on the right side of my skull actually like pulsating to the point that it might rupture. Behind, but laugh my ass off at the idea of Republicans would rebel against an authoritarian government. Well, now it's up to the libs. The libs have to do it, but the libs are all pussies. Death Lily says most gun crime is possession of a gun while doing another crime. Carrying a gun is not a crime. True. I'm talking hypothetically. None of my guns are boxed. Boxes are for idiots. In the future, I agree. Look at the Youth Handgun and Safety Act of 1979. Today's content: chat attempted to murder Connor. Yes. Blame Beef Supreme. Sacred Snow says that was exactly my point. I think we agree 100% on this topic. The main thing we need to do is stop guns from being stolen from cars. If you want to risk going to jail because your gun was stolen from under your pillow or closet, go ahead. I just think there should be fear of having your weapon stolen. Agreed. Beef could do with some recreational ball twisting. Unfortunately, I think I made Beef a wrench, so he has the ball twisting equipment. So if you try to twist his balls, then he's going to twist them right back. Every time Catherine revved up the microwave, I'd piss my pants and forget who I was for 30 minutes. What movie, Connor? Christmas Vacation, but also just that's just my life. Yes. Beef Supreme, twist your own balls, please. Mods, Beef Supreme, twist your own balls. I have to thank everybody who hung out today. I'm not even going to get a segment out of today because all we did was hang out, and we had like 60 to 80 people drop by, hang out, make chats, and do a solid attempt on my life. We also had a ton of people oil and chip today. Merry Christmas to you and yours. It is 12:40. My wife did say that she was going to be getting back any second now, and I need a shower before we go do family stuff. So I'm going to go do that now, but I want to thank the people. And Grassroots just made it even better. Thank you. I can't thank you enough. Grassroots with the 10 gifted. Thank you, King. Well, QC John with the 10 gifted. Thank you, King. Grassroots with the 20. Old School with the 5. Real Serious with the 200 ARS, the 100 ARS. Excuse me. Anonymous Chatter with the 10. Barabbas Dantioch with the 5, Philip Coffee with the 5, Barabbas Dantioch with multiple super chats, Dank Jesus with the 5, Politics JK with the 10, Focus Lady with the 20, Real Serious with the 100 ARS, Anonymous Chatter with the 10, Skillful Dunce with the 20, Old School with the 20, Old School with the 10, but I parasocially love you, Solidus Snaky with the 2, Patriarch with the 10 gifted memberships. Thank you for oiling today, King. I sincerely appreciate it. Philip Coffee with the 5, Christian Valeris is not going to see this, but I do parasocially love Christian Valeris a lot. He's been with me from the beginning. I think that Christian Valeris has probably missed a total of half a dozen streams in the past since April of this year. I almost always see him in chat. And the fact that I have that level of spiritual support from an audience member does mean a lot to me. And he also oils. Christian Valeris did a $300 super chat. Fucking insane. Thank you for the Christmas gift, Christian Valeris. And thank you to ET for the 5 for kicking us off with the chats. Scrolling it up and just saying I love you and goodbye before we leave. Grassroots says, I'll twist Beef Supreme's balls. Patriarch can twist my balls and we can make a little daisy chain of ball twisting. Go for it. Rob F says, Merry Christmas to all. Call W says, Merry Christmas. You got the wrench. Twist the stuff. True. Keep your... Bill Stein says, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Holidays. Merry Kingsmas, Happy Sanguinalia, and also happy everything else. Happy Hanukkah and all that bullshit. Beef Supreme says, look into the Youth Handgun Act of 1978. I refuse. Sacred Snow says, 07, my gorillas, Merry Christmas. All right. I parasocially love you guys. It was awesome hanging out with you. Thank you for all the chips. Thank you for all the oils. I will see you the day after Christmas. So what's today? What's today? Today is Wednesday. I will see you on Friday. All right. Go enjoy your other favorite streamers. Mwah. Bye for now. So is this a 2025 equivalent of pandering on street corners? Yeah. I'm on my soapbox talking shit about politics. Indy wanted to say hello. Say hello to Indy. Yes. This is the equivalent of standing on a soapbox and screaming into a crowd and people throwing cash into your guitar case. It just happens to be more lucrative. So everybody say Merry Christmas to Indy. Mwah. Bye for now. Love you guys too. Parasocially, but I love you. Bye.